1 month later. Clank. Sounds of a hammer banging on a curved blade placed on an anvil resonated in a vast realm made of fiery pits of volcanoes, blistering mountains made of black stones, and rivers of magma. This was one of the sections, more likely a separate dimension similar to Convergence of Reality, Hall of Sentience, Linchpin of Multiverse, and inside the Chamber of Exaltation. Khan named this realm that he was forging his new weapon in as Muspelheim. If not for his 100% natural affinity, he acquired through the elemental transfusion technique operated by his mentor Vildred and the complete immunity to fire element he achieved after absorbing the divine key, Flame Scion, which he got by killing the hero of fire. Khan would have been turned into ash a long time ago. Although it was 1 month in the real world, the time inside the Chamber of Exaltation worked differently. 1 day outside was 3 days inside the Tablet of Arcana. So by that sense, Khan had been forging his new weapon for the past 90 days, without even a single hour of break. Thanks to his tenacious mind and Rathnar's core, he never ran out of world energy and could solely focus on forging this new weapon. Boom! A massive burst of overwhelming and insurmountable energy of unknown origin erupted and spread 20 kilometers in radius, shattering mountains and causing tsunamis of incinerating magmas as the hammer made of Khan's own darkness elemental world energy shattered, and he was flung 1 kilometer away. "It is finally done," said Khan with a victorious smile, and quickly appeared next to a glowing blade that was pitch black, had lightning running across it, and a bluish mystical energy encompassing the entire katana. The entire blade had dozens of tiny and missable runes carved into it, but the immense power and destructive force every single of them carried was beyond comprehension. Swoosh! Both Rathnar and Vildred suddenly appeared inside Muspelheim and stood behind Khan. "What was that? I thought the realm fell apart," said Rathnar in his human form. "My weapon is finally finished. I finally succeeded in completing those draconiac runes," replied Khan with an elated expression. But right then, Vildred asked with a puzzled countenance, "What's happening here? I gave you my fong. A royal dragon's fong that's 50 meters in length. What have you done to it?" asked the former lightning dragon emperor. Yes, the forging material used by Khan for his new katana was none other than Vildred's fong. In his true form, Vildred was a 3-kilometer tall royal dragon, and both of his fangs were as big as the colossal titan. Khan used one of his mentor's fangs to create this weapon because he no longer had any suitable materials left. "You're looking at it," responded Khan as he pointed at the newly forged katana. "It's how long? 70 centimeters? 29 inches? Asked the Sage of Preservation, baffled. 73 centimeters to be exact. However, it's still the very fong you gave me," said Khan. Next, a smirk appeared on his face. "Lift it." Vildred followed and lifted the katana, but for some reason, he felt pressure on his arm. It's heavy, and that's the same weight as my fong when it plucked it out of my mouth," said the magic mentor. "It's 4,000 tons, exactly the weight of your fong," said Khan. Even Rathnar and Vildred were astonished. "How did you make it?" queried Rathnar, the former peak saint of Vantria. "You guys keep forgetting that not only I'm a saint-rank master blacksmith, I'm also one of the 2 apostles of blacksmithing in the world. I have blessings and gifts directly given by the Brocker and Eitri, the deities of blacksmithing," said Khan in a smug tone. "While forging this blade, I used the harnessing and conceptualization technique taught to me by Master Romulus on the fong. I also used multiple dragon, dwarven, and elven runes on the original fong, which helped me turn your 50-meter-long, 15-meter-wide fong into the size of a blade. I even had to use the dragonfire just to heat the fong to mend and mold it into the shape of a katana's blade. However, the strength and power it held is exactly the same as before." He elaborated. "Made from a royal dragon's fong born with lightning element," iterated Khan. "The only person who could come even close to Vildren in terms of the highest lightning affinity in the world at this moment would be none other than the hero of lightning. Then infused with my darkness element while forging the blade through every strike. And during the final phase, I merged it with the stream of cosmic ether falling right under the linchpin of multiverse," he declared in a zealous tone. "So by default, The blade now has both darkness given by the god of darkness and the lightning of the lightning dragon emperor while possessing the cosmic ether from the dimensional cracks of the multiverse. I also used the highest tier of the dwarven and elven runes taught to me by my master Throck Oakenshield from the Vulcan Empire, along with the draconiac runic magic by Master Vildred. He emphasized this part again. Even a normal attack from it contains both darkness and lightning merged to the highest compatibility possible, and the collective destructive force is multiplied by 3 times. And the best part? It responds to both the dragon bloodline and darkness elemental skills that I have from the Hero of Darkness title. This means my strongest attack can now become 9 times more powerful than the original attack. As a 6th-stage saint, my strongest attack can destroy and pulverize up to 45 kilometers of space in a straight line. Revealed Khan in a stern voice. 45 kilometers? That's as same as a normal intermediate 7th-stage saint. Said Rathnar in an approving tone. Yes, although it's not as far as Master Romulus who can destroy up to 90 kilometers as a peak 7th-stage saint at his full power. It should be enough for me to hold my ground even if I fought that light elemental saint called Markgrav from the Inquisitors. And that's not the end. Revealed Khan and continued solemnly. Unlike with Lucifer and my other weapons, I no longer need to be dependent upon my own reserves of space force or cosmic ether to use the dimensional cut skill or even need to replenish it. This katana can absorb the cosmic ether present in the real world and the true dimension all by itself, he said and sighed in relief. Just forging this weapon pushed me to my limits, and now I have surpassed myself by a huge milestone. Much farther compared to when I made Sigrun and Vidar. Comparing all these factors and being forged by the apostle of blacksmithing, something unexpected happened. Spoke Khan in an anticipating tone. I didn't realize until the system gave me the notification, but now I have broken through my limitation by making this katana, and achieved the 3rd enlightenment in law of blacksmithing just like my mentor Throck Oakenshield. He declared. This was another huge milestone for Khan. I'll name this katana as Muramesa, declared Khan pridefully. Ding. However, before he could relish that achievement, the system gave another notification. Congratulations to the host. Muramesa, the new katana created by the host, has surpassed its limitations due to the highest grade of forging material blacksmithing techniques. Blessings va gifts received as the apostle of blacksmithing along with the highest tiers of runic magic. The resultant weapon created by the host is of informed the system as it made even Khan open his eyes wide in shock. The ancient rank. A wave of unexpected befuddlement washed over Khan as the system suddenly informed him about the rank of his newly forged katana, Muramesa. What the hell? An ancient rank weapon? Exclaimed Khan with a bewildered countenance. What? Did you just say ancient rank? Asked Rathnar with an astonished expression on his visage. How come it's not a legendary but an ancient rank weapon? Even Vildred, the lightning dragon emperor, was taken aback. Although the latter two were powerful beings of their era, they didn't have the skills or knowledge to differentiate the ranks of weapons unless a proper Saint Blacksmith told them. But the surprising factor was that even Khan, the legitimate Saint Blacksmith among their ranks, could not detect it and assumed Muramesa to be a legendary rank weapon just like them. System, scan and report, he said and wielded Muramesa in his right hand. Scan complete. Following are the effects and powers of the ancient rank weapon Muramesa 1. The Demon Blade effect grants the wielder of the blade a massive surge in strength automatically and multiplies the output of all the attacks made using mana or world energy by 3 times due to being engraved with the highest tier of Draconian, Dwarven and Elven runes that amplify its destructive aura and potency of world energy circulation. 2. Darkness of the Abyss. After the blade was imbued with the darkness by the host, whose darkness element originates from the god of darkness, the ruler of the eternal abyss, the blade now has become highly condensed and attuned with the said element. Due to such crafting method, the katana can enhance and increase all the attacks made with the darkness element of the wielder by 4 times the original strength. This effect will be further enhanced by 2 times while the Hero of Darkness title is active. 3. Lightning Dragon's Fury. Being made from the Fong of the Lightning Dragon Emperor, The blade has a natural affinity with the lightning element and will enhance all the lightning elemental attacks by 3 times. 4. The Abyssal Lightning. The combined attunement of both the host's darkness element and the based affinity of the lightning element from the Dragon Emperor's Fang has formed a unified synergy while being crafted. Muramasa now possesses the highest degree of combined and perfectly balanced harmony between these two elements, and when the user wills it, a powerful single-strike attack can be made with both these elements merged perfectly and containing that collective destructive force. 5. Dimension Breaker. Due to the host's Void Sentinel class, a legendary rank class achievable only by those who have gained by achieving 3rd Enlightenment in the Space Law, and the vast amount of cosmic ether being infused inside the blade while being forged, the ancient rank weapon Muramasa has now developed and created a new unique trait called the Dimension Breaker. This power shall allow the host to cut through the boundary between the material forms in the real world and void cracks of the true dimension. With this report, the system finally turned silent, and so did everyone who heard it. Khan, Vildred, and Rathnar could not simply believe what they just heard. "I need to test it," said Khan. Swoosh! The next moment, he appeared in the sky of Muspelheim, filled with dark red clouds. "First, let's test the Demon Blade effect. Since I named the katana as Muramasa mainly because of the mythological lore about the blacksmith who went mad while forging it and his will carrying into the blade. The blade itself gave tremendous power to those who wielded it, but eventually, they went mad the more they used it. Let's see if the same happens to me," spoke Khan, revealing why he named his new katana as Muramasa, the Demon Blade. He gazed at a mountain range made of black stones and made a simple vertical swing while hovering in the air at 5 kilometers height. Swing. Nothing happened after his normal swing, and even Khan felt like something was amiss. Rumble. But the very next moment, an invisible force made of tremendously dense and destructive world energy struck the entire mountain range. Boom! In just a few seconds, an entire mountain range, ranging up to 9 kilometers, was decimated by the invisible force, turning all the mountains into flatlands and the valleys into crumbled stones as if God's divine punishment landed on them. Nice! Although there was 1 second delay, the runes along with Muramasa's original strength increased the overall damage output by at least 300%. Spoke Khan, content with the result. Next, he tested the darkness of the abyss effect. This time, the visible pitch-black darkness flew in a single direction after Khan made the vertical slash. Boom! However, unlike the previous time, the mountains weren't flattened nor the valleys turned to crumbled sand. Instead, they were simply obliterated by the darkness shot forward by Muramasa. And the total distance this time was 12 kilometers, indicating that the attack was amplified by 4 times just like the system informed Khan. Khan turned in a different direction and then tested the lightning dragon's fury. Slash. Just like before, he made a vertical slash, but the result surprised him. Because the attack didn't come directly from Muramasa, rather, the skies above him struck the targeted mountains with hundreds of wide and terrifyingly destructive lightning bolts falling in a straight line. Khan felt as if he could control the lightning element as if he was born with it. That's one of my skills," spoke Vildred, who saw this and had his mouth wide open in shock. "He can do that just because the weapon was made from my Fang?" he asked himself, completely flabbergasted. Although the range was only 9 kilometers, Khan was simply stunned on his spot. "That is the most powerful lightning elemental attack I've ever made. And I didn't even use any runic magic, formation, or legendary rank skill or effects for it," he spoke, his hands trembling in sheer disbelief. Soon, he tested the abyssal leaning effect, the one attack with perfect balance and synergy between darkness and lightning. Result left Khan, Vildred, and Rathnar dropping their jaws on the ground. Because the range of the damage was straight up 20 kilometers, and unlike the darkness of the abyss and lightning dragon's fury effect, the abyssal lightning simply pulverized everything that came in its way as if these tall and grandiose mountains and incinerating rivers of magma never existed in the first place. If it's like this when he's merely a 6th-stage saint, just imagine what he could do if he ever became a peak saint. Spoke Rathnar, acknowledging Muramasa's potential as an ancient rank weapon. Vildred could only nod in agreement because he too had his mind boggled with these unexpected results. On the other side, after a few minutes of absorbing these occurrences in front of him, finally Khan decided to use the last skill, the Dimension Breaker. But what he didn't know was that Muramasa didn't develop just some attack skill or unique trait, because it was an ancient rank weapon made from various unnatural elements of craftsmanship. Rather, the last skill could literally break the world. One after another, Khan tested Muramasa in the 4 newly unlocked attack skills that surpassed his expectations by manifolds. Just his normal attacks in 1st to 4th skills varied from 9 to a whopping 20 kilometers. And now, it was the time to test the 5th and final attack skill called the Dimension Breaker. This time, Khan flew a dozen kilometers away and targeted a region of Muspelheim filled with multiple active volcanoes. Muramasa's blade glowed dark blue as the cosmic ether condensed over the katana blade, and Khan made an horizontal slash attack. Slash! A massive wave of dimensional crack followed the slashing attack instantly, and all the volcanoes were split into 2 within a second. Their tops flew 100 meters above in the air while the middle part spewed the brewing magma. Just the area it affected was 4 kilometers in diameter, and the length went beyond 25 kilometers in a straight line. One could say that this attack was no different than Khan's dimensional cut skill, which could cut any living being and an inanimate object from both the real world and the true dimension on the atomic level. However, something unexpected happened in the next moment. Squirm. Because instead of erupting and causing destruction, the active volcanoes suddenly started shrinking and disappearing from the slashed location made by Muramasa, and the places where the cosmic ether had passed through turned into a void crack, and everything that touched that wave started being absorbed inside, like a separate realm unknown to naked eyes was engulfing it. In just 4 seconds, the entire volcano range was engulfed by the Dimension Breaker skill, as if it never existed and were simply vaporized out of the real world. While Khan looked at the phenomenon with a baffled countenance, Vildred spoke in a trembling voice. It's eating away the whole volcano range like an endless pit of infinite space. This type of attack, it can destroy and basically devour any spell, magic formation, barrier, or attack made of world energy. He said with his keen assessment as the sage of preservation. What? It can do that? Asked Khan, shocked and thrilled with anticipation at the same time. It didn't just break that volcano range. It broke the boundary between the real world itself, the royal dragon said. Khan switched his vision and filled it with space force. Soon, he too was stunned and spoke in a surprised voice. It's pulling the whole volcano range inside the true dimension and nullifying all of its mana, world energy, and matter on the atomic level. It's as if it's undoing the volcano range's entire existence. And to think that the range is more than 25 kilometers. He spoke after checking this with his space law abilities. Master, cast a legendary rank protection barrier. He beckoned his mentor. Vildred waved his scepter and cast a 20-kilometer radius dome-like golden barrier that covered a vast magma river region. Slash. This time, Khan made a vertical slash and the blue cosmic ether swiftly cut through the formation like it never existed. Not only that, but the blue ether started spreading across the remainder of the barrier and swallowed it like a voracious beast. In just a minute, the legendary rank barrier that would take even a saint a whole day to break through was wiped out of existence like it was a thin sheet of paper engulfed by blue flames. Even Rathnar, the former peak saint of Vantria, was shocked to his core. Compared to my sword made of Earth Dragon King's horn, which was also of the ancient rank, this weapon is far more terrifying and destructive. I believe unless someone is proficient in space law, even if it's a 7th stage or 8th stage saint, this katana can even kill a powerhouse like that. He hypothesized. Vildred also nodded and spoke in a serious tone. That's not all. If Khan ever reaches 9th stage saint, I think it will be enough to kill even another sovereign or a royal dragon. And at peak saint rank, he might as well be able to kill an elder dragon, an archangel, or those god beasts. What an absurdly powerful weapon, declared the lightning dragon emperor Vildred. But the very next moment, Khan suddenly looked at Vildred with covetous eyes and rubbed his hands like a fly with greedy expression. My almighty and extremely powerful master, he said while grinning. What? Asked Vildred with a sense of ominous feeling coming from his mentee. Can you give me another one of your fangs? Asked Khan with a sinister smirk. What? Are you out of your goddamn mind? Bellowed Vildred in fury. I only gave my fang because you said you desperately needed it for a powerful weapon to ensure your survival. And now that it turned into an ancient rank weapon, you're asking for more? He questioned with an exasperated countenance. Even for me, it will take me a year to grow that fang back. It's not something that can be given lightly, he said, controlling his displeasure. TCH, for once I thought you were cool. You're just another stingy geezer, said Khan and shook his head in disappointment. You ungrateful brat. What's next? You're going to ask me for my horns, a dragon's greatest pride, then my claws and my skin just to make more weapons and armor? Iterated Vildred in a pissed-off tone. Suddenly Khan's eyes lit up. What a nice idea. I'm grateful to your generous donations, said Khan shamelessly. Ah, just kill me instead, you bastard of a disciple, admonished the mentor. The next day, Khan had changed Muramesa to his new main weapon. He no longer had Lucifer, Gungnir, Beowulf equipped on his body. Now, he simply had his dark gray long coat and Muramesa sheathed inside a faintly glowing blue scabbard on his waist. The scabbard had multiple runes etched on it that hid Muramesa's domineering aura, and no one could tell that inside the sheath was a powerful katana that could destroy an entire city in a single strike. Step. The door slid away and a demonic monkey-like individual walked in and bowed in front of Khan. Salvatore-sama, your guest has arrived, he spoke. Khan nodded and followed behind the attendee. In a separate building, he saw a particular individual waiting for him. A long silver-haired man was sitting on a zabuton, a sitting pillow from Japanese culture. On it waited a samurai swordsman with two katanas on his waist. Welcome to the Empire of Space, spoke Khan with a genuine smile on his face as he welcomed this new pleasant arrival. Omega, the first ever subordinate Khan created, and also the most vocally loyal commander of Khan's forces, suddenly revealed himself in the secret ancestral site of the imperial family of the Empire of Space. It's been a while, said Khan as he shook Omega's hand and sat on a zabuton beside the samurai subordinate. Whoosh! However, Omega didn't just come alone. Two black silhouettes appeared from his shadow and manifested into the apparition of two familiar figures. One was a white-haired and red-eyed elf in a blue long coat, while the other was a spectacle-wearing young man who had a scholarly mage appearance to him. These were none other than the two doppelgangers Khan left in the Zivet Empire, aka the Elven Empire. And these two figures were namely Legolas Ragnarsson and Merlin. Legolas was his persona of the guildmaster of Misthios mercenary guild, while Merlin was his other form that he created to learn genuine alchemist class. And now, both of them appeared beside Omega and extended their hands. Swoom! A wave of ethereal energy passed across Khan's body as he absorbed all the memories from both the doppelgangers. It had been 1.5 years since he left Zivet Empire, and these two were particularly one of his biggest assets left there. Soon, Khan was absolved and learned about the restructuring of Misthios guild. Legolas, his other doppelganger version, managed to get the entire Alfheim, one of the biggest economic hubs of monster core and resource trading and the highest amount of dungeons in the entire Elven Empire, as part of the deal with the imperial family after they were forced to hire the Misthios guild to assist the hero of life in Conclave of Heroes. That was the reason why Khan met his subordinates before entering Babylon. On the other end, Aragorn Travian and Salar Venric, the prince of the Elven Empire, has also let go of his persona as Egemund Thandruil, the saint-rank alchemist, just a few weeks ago. He revealed himself to the imperial family and the whole empire, saying that he was on his pilgrimage of sorts and only returned because he just heard about the death of his little sister, Princess Eleanor. As per the martial emperor, in the original timeline, Aragorn controlled Vildred but was later killed by Ervelyn, the hero of life, after the latter learned that it was him who killed Eleanor. That made the hero of life turn into Vildred's new master in the original timeline, unlike the present one where the Lighting Dragon Emperor was Khan's mentor. Also, the 12 Valkyries were disbanded after the horrible expedition of the Immortal Dungeon, and the surviving saint members were now part of the Misthios mercenary guild. Sparta, the settlement Khan previously created, now has more than 500,000 members, making it the biggest mercenary guild in the Elven Empire. As Merlin, he also learned proper saint rank alchemist abilities and skills, now possessing the knowledge to even save thousands of lives if he used skills and his potion creation abilities he got from Prithvi, the Grandmaster Alchemist back in Rukon district that once used to be his lair in Rathna, the capital of Rocco's empire. Also, Omega informed him about his other subordinates left in the Rocco's empire. Tobias, a magician-summoner class subordinate, who was in charge of controlling the Verlassen fiefdom after Khan left the Rocco's empire, strengthened his grip and currently controlled it like a hidden ruler of the fiefdom as a fourth-stage saint, just like Khan intended. The other 3 subordinates he left in Cassandra's shadow had also gone as far as fourth-stage saint rank recently. Currently, every member among his subordinates was at least a fourth-stage saint. Omega then spoke firmly. Jugram, Armin, and Ronan have become apostles of deities as well. Khan, on the other side, expected this and wasn't surprised because the martial emperor had already told him about the task he gave to God of Darkness and Cravel. So it was apparent that at least 3 of his subordinates would become apostles by the time he left Conclave of Heroes and met Argos Belmont. Jugram, Blackwell, Armin, and Ronan are now 5th-stage saints with their own domains. Unlike them, though I haven't become an apostle, my gravity law skills inherited from Skoll and Hattie have been refined and now I have mastered them to perfection. I have received the 2nd enlightenment in gravity law on my own, and I can feel that I will break through to gain the 3rd enlightenment soon enough. It also helped me become a 5th-stage saint right after we returned from the Conclave of Heroes. He revealed the pleasant news. "What about Rudra?" asked Khan. "He has improved a lot, but just like me, he wasn't chosen as an apostle either. He is currently a 4th-stage saint similar to Cyril and Oliver," explained Omega in an obedient tone. Khan nodded in affirmation and also felt slightly elated. Soon, he received a letter from Omega which was a report sent by Ronan. The letter contained updates on Cassandra Michelson. The report stated that she also broke through to become a 5th-stage saint already. Even Ronan was surprised because of her staggering growth. He said it must be because of what you did in Asir to save her life by giving her a part of your soul. Iterated Omega. Khan nodded again. It was also expected because even the future Khan mentioned this to him. On top of that, he advised to meet Cassandra as soon as Khan was done with something Argos had to do with Khan after he was done in the Empire of Space. This made Khan even more overjoyed, because out of his 12 legendary/saint rank subordinates, 5 of them were now 5th-stage saints while the 7 were at 4th-stage saint rank. Thanks to the time he spent earning influence and various vital resources such as monster cores and mana ores in Rocco's and Zivit Empire via Verlassen fiefdom and the Misthios Guild, not only him but all of his subordinates were now powerful beings. At this moment, the vast amount of wealth and resources he possessed dwarfed even many noble factions in many empires. Although it wasn't as big as the imperial families, it was incomparable for a single chosen hero who wasn't a king, an emperor or had any empire's backing. "Here are the resources you asked for," said Omega and handed him space rings filled with billions of SSS rank monster cores and mana ores. "These are enough for me to become an 8th-stage saint," iterated Khan in a relaxed voice. And now, he had enough resources to become even a 9th-stage saint if he took the Apple of Eden that future Khan took from Anakin Redfield, the hero of time. This was something even the Martial Emperor had failed to do in the original timeline until he became the Emperor of the Rocco's Empire. But what he achieved in 18 years was achieved by the current Khan in just 6 years after he arrived in Vantria. One could even say that he was the richest entrepreneur in the world right now. Khan then created 3 new cosmic replicas as Legolas, Merlin, and Zeus with the memories of the old doppelgangers. Because there was a limit on doppelgangers who heavily relied on mana ores and monster cores. Cosmic replicas, on the other hand, didn't need any of that and they could perfectly mimic his aura as a 6th-stage saint. This was a much-needed strategy to ensure that his identities were never judged because people wouldn't dare to raise questions against a 6th-stage saint, especially one with lots of influence as the guildmaster of the biggest mercenary guild in the Empire and one who is also a saint-rank alchemist. If anything, they would try to curry favors with him. Both of you need to return to previous posts and carry on the role. Also, start investing in weapons and potion productions to bolster our forces. Soon, we will be forced into having an army of our own with actual living beings and fighters of different classes. He commanded his cosmic replicas. I'm no longer a lone wolf, and my presence as the hero of darkness should send fear across the adversary forces, whether I'm fighting saints or an entire imperial army. Use the members of Sparta and the Misthios Guild. He beckoned. He then looked at his Zeus persona. Use the fighter class members of the 7 deadly sins we created in Rocco's empire and the Covenant soldiers from Verlassen fiefdom. Start training them for warfare and supply them with the best weapons and armors and nurture the individuals with great potential. I want at least 10 million able-bodied soldiers from all professions, classes, and skills. He spoke in a domineering tone. I have already established 7 deadly sins, an underworld organization. Covenant soldiers are a military force. Bloodborne has blacksmiths, and Hippocrates has alchemists in the Rocco's empire. And then there's Misthios Guild in the Zivit empire. All of them are enough for me to raise a proper army of my own with no problems at all. The years I spent in developing my businesses, guilds, companies, and organizations are bearing fruits now. Spoke Khan, recounting his fruits of labor. And I want all of it done within a year. He spoke as he looked at the 3 cosmic replicas. But Master, isn't it too risky? Asked Omega, slightly worried. You have just been revealed to the world, and there are still people hunting you. If I'm not wrong, the empires will focus on you again once they are either done destroying the Erdv Empire to capture the Hero of Time, or they will simply get bold and try to kill you for your divine keys again. You also have the protection of a sovereign. So why the hurry? He queried. To him, Khan replied in a stern tone. Because in just 1 year from now. He remembered what the future Khan, aka the Martial Emperor, told him what would happen exactly 1 year after the Conclave of Heroes. The Great War will begin. Khan revealed to Omega that in just a short amount of time, the Great War with the Demon Empire would start, and thus, he needed to have an entire army of his own. Not just summon subordinates he made from monsters and warrior-class species, but actual living beings of Vantria. Kid, how did you find that out? Even the sovereign that brought you here doesn't know this. Otherwise, we would have been warned already. Inquired Rathnar. It was the Hero of Time who babbled this when I fought him. He was from the future, so he obviously knew much more than us. Said Khan as he put the whole blame on Anakin. Obviously, he couldn't tell Rathnar or anyone else about the changed timeline or some events of the future due to his promise to the Martial Emperor. In the original timeline, the Martial Emperor, aka Future Khan, was still inside the Beast Empire, hiding his identity, and met Argos Belmont only after it had been 2 years since the Conclave of Heroes. As for the reason why the future Khan told the current one about the exact time for the Great War to begin, it was to prepare for what was coming. One of those preparations included Khan having his own army of capable warriors that served only him and no one else. Khan then turned to Legolas replica and handed out the cores of the saints he killed recently. These were the cores of Hero of Time's party members that fell by his sword when they fought as semi-saints in the peninsula created by God of Darkness. He threw one at Omega and ordered Legolas to hand the rest to his other subordinates to help them increase their strength and hopefully break through to the next rank. With these, everyone including the subordinates I left in Rocco's empire will at least be 5th stage saints when I meet them. Having my army of saints with their own domains is something even the heroes and heroines backed by an empire don't have. One after another, I have no weaknesses left at this point. Spoke Khan with a content smile. There was a time when he worked as an adventurer and a hired assassin just to get B-rank mana cores and ores in Flavit City. And now, whether it was wealth, resources, strength, and powerful forces that served him, the current Khan was already on par with the most influential people such as imperial families and noble factions. The seeds he planted back in the day grew into trees, and now those trees bore him fruits, returning his investment of time and effort 100-folds. There's someone I'd like you to meet. A few minutes later, they entered the topmost floor of the Imperial Ancestral Palace. Inside the wide hall was a 5-meter-tall soul specter waiting for them, sitting quietly with his legs folded. So it is time, spoke the ancestor. This is the first emperor of the Erd Empire and also the sixth hero of space, Miyamoto Musashi. Introduced Khan. Is this the person you talked about? Asked the Sword Saint. Well, I can't call him a person to be honest given how he is a creation of divine ability, having the bloodline of a god-beast and possessing powers of various saints of this world. He even has gravity law surrounding him, said the samurai saint. He can tell all that just by looking at me in a single glance? Asked Omega, slightly taken aback and astonished. Yes, he is different from other saints of this world. Not because he is a chosen hero but because he too practiced the space law and had even higher enlightenment than me. Besides, iterated Khan and asked in a stern voice, do you still use Raijin and Kojin? Yes, I train whenever I can. But unlike my gravity law skills, my swordsmanship skills have stagnated, replied Omega after nodding. Currently, similar to how Khan had Rathnar's soul attached to him, Omega had the soul fragments of Skoll and Hati etched into him. The mythical rank wolves, also the god-beast Fenrir's direct descendants, were helping Omega master the gravity law skills. Khan had no access to them and could not listen to them just like his subordinates couldn't listen to Rathnar. Nonetheless, they had still helped Omega gain second enlightenment in the gravity law and as per his own words, he was close to attaining the third enlightenment within a year. However, as the commander of Khan's subordinates mentioned before, his swordsmanship skills had stagnated. And that's why I brought you here. This remnant soul belongs to a man who was from Earth just like me. In my world, he was called the greatest samurai, just like those warriors you saw in my memories that were passed down to you. Revealed Khan to Omega. Bewildered, Omega's eyes widened in shock and he stood completely rooted on the spot. He is also called the Dual Sword Saint. And as of this moment, he is your sword mentor, declared Khan. A minute passed but Omega was still left thunderstruck and couldn't come to believe Khan's words. Meanwhile, the once greatest samurai on earth looked at Omega with a curious gaze as he evaluated the dual sword samurai in front of him. In his perceptive eyes, Omega showed a lot of potential to become his new disciple. Author planned this 3 years ago when I gave Omega the dual sword samurai class in the second arcade. For the sixth hero of space to be none other than Miyamoto Musashi, who was the inventor of dual katana sword style, and then Khan meeting him and arranging Omega to learn from him. I know I'm a freaking genius at planning plots. No need to praise me. Gloats shamelessly. Ha ha ha. Evil maniacal laugh continues. Cough cough. Well, anyway. Look forward to this arc because you will be seeing lots of things that were previously only subliminally hinted in the novel. So you want me to train him too since he also uses 2 katanas just like I did throughout my life? To be honest, he is more suitable to learn the Nitten Ichiryu, 2 swords as 1, technique than you. Stated the Sword Saint in a composed voice. It's okay. I only wanted to learn because I created Muramasa. Sadly, all the swordsmanship skills I possess, whether Saint rank or legendary rank, are mostly applicable to greatswords, longswords, and giant swords. I will accept any good legendary rank swordsmanship skill that is best for a samurai. Responded Khan in a chivalrous tone. This damn scammer, saying that he will accept any legendary rank swordsmanship skills as if they grow on trees. Even my blood descendants fight and train their entire lives just to receive my tutelage after meeting extremely hard conditions and qualifications. Yet he speaks of learning my best skills as if I give them to random passersby or sell them like vegetables in the market. Thought the sixth hero of space as he cursed the moment when he made the deal with Khan. Even his direct descendants from the imperial family could only dream about getting a few swordsmanship lessons from Miyamoto Musashi. Yet because of his god's decree, he was now forced to teach his most prized techniques as a samurai swordsman to Khan and Omega. Khan on the other end was overjoyed, because the main reason Omega had hit a plateau in his swordsmanship skills was because he practiced based on Khan's memories of the samurai culture from various media that the latter consumed as Elric. But he was by no means an authentic samurai. So when he learned about Miyamoto Musashi and intentionally forged Muramasa as a katana instead of upgrading Lucifer or creating a different weapon, this was his main goal. To not only learn from the best in the world but also help Omega reach a new pinnacle of mastery as a samurai. However, you do remember the part of our deal, right? Asked the sword saint. I will teach you my single-handed samurai swordsmanship and my archery skills, and I shall impart my knowledge and techniques of Nitin Ichiryu to Omega, declared the ancestor's soul specter. Yes, contrary to popular belief, samurai also used bows and were proficient archery masters. And Khan was going to use this opportunity to learn them as well. But in return, spoke the sixth hero of space as he revealed the other side of their arrangement. Both of you will join the hero of space's party. After the first emperor of the Empire of Space, aka the sixth hero of space, stated his conditions as per their previous agreement, Omega was left shocked. Master, what does that mean? Why are we joining the hero of space's party? Is there something I'm not aware of? Asked Omega to Khan, still befuddled. Consider it as something unavoidable, something preordained, said Khan, and didn't complain. When Miyamoto Musashi made this condition during their negotiation where Khan proposed to be taught swordsmanship skills along with the knowledge of the space law, this bizarre demand left him gobsmacked too. But then he remembered what future Khan told him. One of the things he had to do before the Great War officially began was also to forge ties with the hero of space. In the original timeline, both the martial emperor and hero of space had an ambiguous relationship. In future Khan's own words, they were neither friends nor enemies. On occasions, they joined forces but also fought against each other if the situation demanded it. The surprising part of the negotiation was this condition was particularly relayed to Miyamoto Musashi by the god of space himself. So considering the future possibilities and things he was already told to do by the original Khan, the current one accepted it without complaining. Thus, he became fated to meet the hero of space many years before compared to the original timeline. In a couple of days, Khan began his training montage. He started learning samurai swordsmanship using Muramasa directly from the sword saint himself. Omega, on the other side, received the tutelage of the sword saint as the latter agreed to impart the dual-handed samurai swordsmanship technique called Nitin Ichiryu. I will only reveal them when necessary and at a proper time, such as a fight or a plot incident. But do know that I shan't offer a detailed explanation and could completely skip over many of them, since many readers find the info dump insufferable nowadays. Meanwhile, Khan also received lots of books and research material that the sixth hero of space wrote when he was alive. It was all written in kanji, a language Cravel didn't know of, so his gifts called knowledge of all languages known to war deity didn't work here. Rather, it was Khan's memories from Earth that helped him because, unlike 99% of weebs and otakus, he learned to speak, read, and write Japanese, which was derived from kanji, hiragana, and katakana. So he was fluent in it. This was also a blessing to Khan in disguise because the entire Urdhva Empire, which was reformed by Miyamoto Musashi, who was summoned here more than 500 years ago, now spoke Japanese as their main language. In a way, the Empire of Space was very similar to Edo-era Japan, but obviously had its own unique cultural differences. Weeks went by as their new training regime progressed. In the secluded realm forged by the Sword Saint's mastery, a quaint village nestled beside a winding river, frozen in the timeless embrace of its ancient allure. Here, amidst the ethereal beauty of a bygone era, the dual-sword samurai materialized in his prime, a vision of formidable skill and unwavering resolve. Clad in the traditional garb of the samurai, a striking blend of black and crimson, he stood with a commanding presence, his two katana blades resting resolutely at his left hip. His countenance bore the marks of a life steeped in honor and battle, a subtle beard framing rugged features that spoke of countless trials endured and victories won. I guess you've noticed it too after spending so much time in Vantria, said the Sword Saint while showing Khan the basics of an advanced swordsmanship technique. Noticed what? Asked Khan curiously. I didn't come across many cultures or countries during my era, and the way to access information was very limited in those times. But even I could feel it, he elaborated. Khan nodded in return. In my time, we have something called the Internet. It's an advanced communication network that can be accessed by anyone from any corner of the world with proper tools. Not only that, you can gain access to any desirable information and even learn about current events such as wars or even genocide happening in faraway places like from a country that's on the other side of the world. He spoke about the marvel of technological advancement humans had achieved. Many cultures, religions, information, knowledge, and even their mythologies can be learned from a small device in your hand. Humanity has progressed beyond your imagination, said Khan. That sounds wonderful. But is it any better than Vantria? Queried the sword saint with an expectant gaze. Khan gave it a thought and replied in a calm voice, Not really, although the magic and world energy aren't there. Everything else is the same. Even the sense of freedom and democracy is just a sham if you pay attention. There are always people in power controlling everything and no one is truly free. Revealed Khan as he let out a sigh. Wars are waged to acquire land, resources such as oil and minerals, or just some made-up excuse like the country being invaded having things that are a possible threat. Humanity as a species has not changed at all. Just that most of the world is at peace but many still suffer and die no less than how it was during your time. He stated with a burdened voice, It's just that many people are too blind to see the reality or acknowledge it unless they're forced to experience it themselves. The time I come from, at my side of the world, everyone was busy pretending to be morally superior than the other guy, yet absolutely doing nothing to change the world for the better. This was what Khan perceived of the era he lived on Earth as Elric Johnson. The abstract of civilization called society is still pretentious, less bloody, but still pretentious. There is no common ground until both sides benefit. The weak countries still suffer and the strong ones with more power still abuse others and call it freedom. I wouldn't go as far as to call it pure evil, because if the roles were reversed, the oppressed would be the oppressor in the kind of world Earth has become. He said without a bias. And funnily, the whole planet is in debt, as if it loaned money from some other planet in the solar system. We work to live every day and survival is hard enough, no different than how it is in Vantria. He said and continued emulating his new sword mentor's movements. I see. So it looks like I didn't miss much either way, said Miyamoto Musashi. Khan then spoke. However, since I'm from a generation who has access to a lot of information if one were to look for it, I know a lot more than you when it comes to different cultures, religions, countries, history, languages, and mythologies as well as folklore. I have some suspicions, and I hope you can clear them for me. He iterated and his expression turned somewhat anticipatory. The sword saint nodded and replied, I know what you're going to ask. Khan's eyes widened. So it's true, isn't it? Damn, there were so many obvious signs. I just didn't see it because a lot of media such as mangas, novels, and literature took inspiration from them. I always wondered why this thing I read about in the history of the world, a particular empire, a person, a monster, or an event was here, said Khan as a sense of revelation dawned on him. The sixth hero of space nodded again and responded, I too experienced it many centuries ago. There are simply way too many species, powers, skills, classes, societal hierarchy, places, and beings in this world that feel like they belong in our times instead. It all makes more sense now, spoke Khan, his body shivering in anticipation and mild excitement. You're correct, spoke Miyamoto Musashi and made a firm declaration. Earth in itself is a variant of Vantria. Miyamoto Musashi, the sixth hero of space, laid down his conclusion in front of Khan about how Earth was a variant of Vantria. Even Khan nodded in agreement given how a lot of things are exactly the same in both worlds. In the Erdv Empire, the population is mostly made of the yokai, spoke Miyamoto Musashi, their samurai instructor. Yokai were Japanese folklore monsters similar to how werewolves, elves, dwarves, and dryads existed on Earth in different cultures. When I was first summoned and saw that there were Onis, Kitsune, Ajuras, Tengus, Inugami, Kappa, Kyubi, and many other species that we had in my country's culture as mere demons, ghosts, and monsters in our folklore. He iterated calmly. It felt as if I was sent to hell at first, but after a while, I came to know that it's not that these creatures existed on Earth and somehow materialized in Vantria. The truth is that we are from one of the worlds where they exist solely in stories and mythologies of different cultures. He stated firmly. Although no other hero or heroine was summoned from Earth during my time as the hero of space, I found traces of some who were summoned centuries ago in different empires. He revealed. Khan nodded in affirmation as he was already aware of Bjorn Ragnarsson and Marcus Brutus. I had my doubts too, but in the time I lived in, many literature, stories, novels, and books had taken inspiration from them. There's a whole section of entertainment media that is filled with stories, novels, movies, and even games where these creatures from mythologies and novels are normalized. So when I was summoned and saw these familiar names like the god beasts such as Fenrir, Rock, Basilisk, Baihu, and Behemoth, and even things such as dragons and primordial titans, I was under the assumption that all these beings exist in this world are similar to those things I used to read and watch. But now I'm certain, spoke Khan with a thoughtful expression. They exist on Earth as mere mythologies and folklore because those creatures and species exist on Vantria in the first place. And if I'm not wrong, there are also the deities like Indra, Kagetsuchi, and many more that we have on Earth as gods in different cultures. But to what extent? I don't know. He concluded. Miyamoto Musashi too seemed to share this sentiment as he said, "That's not at all. I'm afraid it's more complicated." "What do you mean?" asked Khan curiously. "That there's not only our Earth, but there are multiple Earths. It's like things that exist here and on our Earth are as real as the ones where we are not alive but exist in another form. And that although our Earth didn't have these things such as monsters or even saints, there are Earths where some of them do." He shared his own findings. Khan again nodded in agreement. "You're perhaps talking about the multiverse. The multiverse theory suggests that our universe is not the only one and that many universes exist parallel to each other. These distinct universes have their own versions of lives, civilizations, and realities. Simply put, there are realities where many of us exist and many where many don't. It applies to all living beings, so by that logic, there are countless realities. Means many things such as gods in various cultures, religions, and even the realms they live in are also real in certain versions of Earth." He iterated with a stern countenance. "There is something I learned when I reached the third enlightenment on my own. Using the previous logic, there could be a reality where we are nothing but non-existent people, or one of us is real while the other is fictional too," revealed the sword saint as he sheathed his katana. "Yes, but not only that. There could be a reality that we are just part of some story and someone is reading about us just to pass the time because they're bored," said Khan. Both of them directed their gaze towards a specific point, their eyes settling on someone who seemed to exist far beyond the constraints of time, dimension, and reality itself. But then they resumed their training again. Just like that, another month passed. Based on their respective fighting styles, both Khan and Omega had learned and mastered many saint-rank samurai swordsmanship skills. Omega, in particular, used the Tablet of Arcana and spent time in one of the realms where he could perfect his gravity law when he wasn't training his sword skill. In this particular realm called Shattered World, existed a planet that was literally shattered, and big pieces of it were spread across its hemisphere. While the planet itself was as big as Jupiter with different kinds of gravity and laws of physics. Some sections, similar to ginormous meteors suspended the space, had incredible suction force, while some displayed signs of immeasurable pressure due to their twisted gravitational force, varying from region to region. Because of a place like this, Omega's inherent knowledge and the information he received from Skoll and Hattie could be practiced and applied perfectly. Similar to how the conjunction of Space Realm helped Khan make a breakthrough in the space law, the Shattered World provided him with the best supportive environment in the world to study the gravity law. And as a result, Omega achieved the third enlightenment in the gravity law. Despite his great breakthrough, Omega did not celebrate it but rather followed in Khan's footsteps. Following Khan's example, he started infusing the gravity law into his attack skills, just like how Khan did it with space law by infusing the space force and cosmic ether into his attack skills and weapons. Omega was an elemental swordsman who could already master lightning and wind elements using Raijin while infusing fire elements while using Kojin. But now, even the skills he previously developed, such as Kaminari Surashu and Katan Surashu, where he created massive 120-meter-long katanas made of lightning and dragonfire respectively, also started affecting the gravity around everywhere the attack passed. Meanwhile, his other powerful skills like Lunar Fang Strike, which was his fastest attack skill, and the Black Fang Strike, which was his strongest attack skill in terms of raw strength, were also elevated to legendary rank after his third enlightenment. And when he used the Moonlight Armor and the Twilight Armor mode, Both of these skills were elevated to a whole new level by at least 7 times. And although Omega was only a beginner 5th stage saint, he too became strong enough to kill a peak 6th stage saint. In a way, Khan's deal with the greatest samurai had become a massive help in bolstering their strengths more than what he expected. Like this, another 2 more months passed and there was only half a year left before the Great War. And finally, the day came when inside the conjunction of space, boom! A tremendous dark blue aura erupted and spread into a 100-kilometer radius. Congratulations to the host. Notified the system before Khan's figure even came out of the blue fog made of cosmic ether. For achieving the 4th enlightenment in the space law. As soon as the system notified, Khan's figure in his cosmic form became visible. This time, his body was purely made of extremely condensed cosmic ether as before, but his skin now had visible black veins running across it. His arms and legs had turned pitch black while his eyes started glowing brighter blue. For the first time, Khan's hair turned waist-length long, and the color changed to stark white for an unknown reason. It felt as if his cosmic form had also evolved by a considerable degree, since these black vena patterns signified high saturation of the ethereal energy made from the synergy between different universes called the linchpin of the multiverse. I feel like my cosmic ether reserves have been amplified by over 100 times. At this rate, they can last me for years even if I didn't replenish them using the conjunction of space. Spoke Khan to himself. He quickly summoned Muramasa and used the Dimension Breaker skill. This time, not only the attack range was increased by an additional 5 kilometers, but Khan could also see that the Dimension Breaker skill's overall lethality increased by at least 30%. System report, he commanded. Soon, the system listed the new powers he received with the 4th enlightenment in the space law. Following are the new achievements unlocked by the host. Congratulations to the host. The legendary rank class Void Sentinel has been upgraded to the Space Overlord class. These are the new powers unlocked with the Space Overlord class. 1. Advent of Space Overlord. Allows the host to connect 2 different ends in space by creating a hyperspace tunnel in the true dimension. The host can now connect his present location with the place he already has been to. The host will no longer be restricted by true dimension anymore, where he needed to open a void crack first and had to travel through the true dimension. Now, the host can directly connect the space of 2 different places and travel to the other place by taking a single step. The host can now lock space and freeze any space traveling or teleportation skill, ability, magic spells, or artifacts. Meanwhile, the host himself can teleport anywhere with a single thought without having to open and use any void cracks. 2. Dominion of Space Overlord. The host can now lock space and freeze any space traveling or teleportation skill, ability, magic spells, or artifacts. Meanwhile, the host himself can teleport anywhere with a single thought without having to open and use any void cracks. Unlike the previous enlightenments, the host no longer needs to rely on the true dimension to use his space-traveling skills. The current radius is 35 kilometers and will increase with the host's rank as a saint. 3. Space Overlord's World Creation. Allows the host to create a separate dimension made of his own world energy, imagination, and characteristics as a person. The host can shape, reform, and develop this world further with his proficiency and mastery of the space law, and also how his powers progress will affect this realm. Inside this world, the host can hide, store anything, bring in living creatures, develop land and agriculture, and breed or rear other species. In a way, this exclusive realm created by the host is his own world where he is simply akin to God. Reported the system. Khan was simply too stupefied to even react as one after another. Waves of shocking information hit his mind. Advent of the Space Overlord was like a direct teleportation door instead of some tower or tunnel. He no longer needed to create a void crack first and already had an exit strategy without even having to rely on the true dimension anymore. Dominion of Space Overlord basically made him the overlord of space in the true sense. Unlike others, he truly commanded space in every sense and now could seal and freeze it at will without having to spend any time or use a legendary rank artifact or a magic formation for it. During a battle, This skill would certainly deter all his opponents from leaving. And finally, the Space Overlord's world creation was an even more surprising addition. Not only did this power help him create another dimension, but also allowed him to control basically every living thing, and matter or even create a new civilization like a god. Just the upgrade from the Void Sentinel class to the Space Overlord class had brought forth such tremendous gains. Khan then closed his eyes and used the world creation ability. Swoosh! Soon Khan and Miyamoto Musashi's Soul Spectre entered this new world. But after they saw it, both of them had a gloomy and incredulous countenance. "Yours is much empty," said the Sword Saint, because although there was an expanse of over 1,000 kilometers, it was nothing but a straight barren land with literally nothing else. "What do you mean?" asked Khan. "This power is called world creation. Something only those who have achieved the fourth enlightenment in the space law can use. When I first achieved it, the world I created reflected on me as a person," he stated. It was filled with mountains, castles, dojos, and battlefields. Many of them had something that acted as a reminder of the experience and memories I had of those places. For example, the dojos were filled with swords and bows while the battlefield was a bloodied ground full of armored corpses, their flesh skewed by arrows or cut open by slashes while a katana was plunged into their body. The mountains, on the other hand, were just full of bamboo groves and huts where tranquility and serenity subsided. The chirping birds, clear sky, and flowing water from the waterfalls and springs along with the warm embrace of nature made it peaceful. That was the kind of life I lived as a person who had multiple characteristics to himself. He revealed his own experience. "Your world, on the other hand, is just a barren black-soiled land. There aren't even trees, mountains, or a river in it." He pointed out the overwhelming difference in their specific worlds. Khan shuddered in disbelief and suddenly asked himself, if the world creation ability reflects on a person's characteristics as a living being, these barren lands do not have any sign of life or even anything worth sightseeing. It's no different than a vast expanse of deadlands. Does that mean my life and me as a person are nothing but an empty shell? He thought with a dejected expression. The obvious difference in Miyamoto Musashi's world and Khan's own world made him realize something that was inherently wrong with him. Is that what I am as a person even now after finally letting go of my past and embracing this new life? He wondered and asked himself in a heavy tone. Is this my real worth as a man? After the sudden realization dawned on Khan, he started evaluating his self-worth as a man given how empty and lifeless his created world was. It was a realm that reflected his characteristics as a living being, but there was nothing else but darkness and vast deadlands. While he could not ascertain the exact meaning behind the lifeless world he created, the Sword Saint, Miyamoto Musashi, spoke calmly. However, based on my personal experience, this is not its final form, he declared. What? Asked Khan, surprised. The riverside of the village where I have been training you until now is just one of the sections of my world. And that came into existence after I had a lot of self-inspection, he said. The place where I taught you the samurai swordsmanship was a recollection of the memories of my hometown. He revealed. It happened decades after I achieved the fourth enlightenment. So if it can happen to me, then it shall happen to you, spoke the Sword Saint as he gently patted on Khan's left shoulder. This world is not only the representation of what you have been or what you are right now, but also what you will become, iterated the Samurai Saint in a tone filled with wisdom. As soon as the Sword Saint spoke those words, Khan's entire body suddenly froze and he felt as if the time itself stopped suddenly as he received an epiphany. The realm he created reflected who he was and is as a person. And hearing those words from Miyamoto Musashi, he recognized another truth about himself as a person. What have I ever done for the outside world? I killed people and monsters when I needed to. I saved others when I needed to or felt like it was my responsibility to do so. In the end, everything was done solely out of either an obligation or to serve me in one way or the other. He thought to himself, hell, even achieving the fourth enlightenment was something someone else arranged for me. I did not seek to advance to it by myself. I say that I want to seek strength, authority, influence, and powers in terms of warrior classes, magic spells, and blacksmithing, to stand on the top of the food chain so that I no longer have to be looking over my shoulder. But have I ever done something if it wasn't out of necessity? Questioned Khan as he made a retrospective analysis of all his actions up until this point. Tremble. Shiver. Khan's body shook as he looked at his own hands with a shaken resolve. Have I ever done something for someone else out of my own will or kindness of my heart? Hell, I even saved Cassandra that day because she reminded me of my past self since she was in a similar situation as the suicidal Elric. But what if it wasn't the case? Would I have saved her out of my free will or any sense of protectiveness? He questioned himself again. I neither follow a code nor a decree as a man. I'm neither a man of God nor a man of honor. I do not believe in a cause or work to build something in this world. Have I ever done any good deed without a reason just because it felt the right thing to do? Am I even truly alive, or I am just a soulless, empty husk of a man? He bombarded himself with these self-criticizing words. Even Miyamoto Musashi was taken aback by Khan's countenance, but a slight and pleasant smile appeared on his face. This is good. He is going through the same thing that I once did. It's something every man should go through at least once in their life. He thought to himself. Although Khan was having an existential crisis, the Sword Saint was elated with a content expression. Khan's body shivered and his heart palpitated as his eyes were locked into the void. For the first time, instead of celebrating his massive milestone and achievement, Khan asked himself from the bottom of his heart, "What's the meaning of my life?" He spoke out in the open. But as soon as he uttered those words of self-doubt, "Do not be harsh on yourself. One does not discover who they really are or what they stand for in a single day. It's an arduous journey that takes many a big chunk of their lifetime. And very few are privy to understanding themselves instead of blaming the outside world and circumstance for their life. People conform to their surroundings to survive and thrive. Yet they lose themselves in the process. Sometimes," spoke the Sword Saint as he looked around the vast, desolate open lands, "one finds themselves by overcoming the darkness within." A sudden surge of actualization washed over Khan's mind. Maybe you're right. This world reflects the darkness in my heart. That is why there is no life, no light, or a single living thing here. It is simply a place of loneliness and hollowness. Declared Khan as he too understood the wisdom behind those words. And this is the darkness I must conquer to find myself. He spoke and his expression calmed. Khan then looked at the samurai warrior with a beard and revealed an appreciative expression. I would not have made it if not for your books with your lifetime of discovery, experience, and knowledge. If I didn't have you directly guiding me and correcting my mistakes or my approach at every step of the way, it would have taken me more than a decade to achieve this on my own. You didn't directly tell me how to achieve it, but you helped me prepare a mindset that knew where I should look and where I shouldn't waste my time. I don't say this easily to anyone, but, said Khan to Miyamoto Musashi. Khan made a 90-degree bow in front of the Sword Saint and for the first time, "Thank you, Sensei." Even the dual samurai swordsman was slightly taken aback as soon as Khan called him Sensei. It was the first time Khan hadn't even addressed him as anything else other than an instructor up until this point. But out of nowhere, Khan calling him his master even befuddled the samurai saint. In a way, it was like Khan finally accepting his teachings as a proper disciple, not as someone forced to learn from him because of a prior arrangement between them out of necessity. Now, even Miyamoto Musashi showed an expression of contentment and pride. This brat, I'm not proud of his achievements because he's from Earth just like me. But even among many generations of my descendants I've taught before after they proved their worth. He was leagues ahead. They were bound to the versions of reality and their perspective of our world. It was always one of the biggest hurdles that stopped their growth. Even the most talented among them could never go past the third enlightenment despite directly learning from me. Yet, not only did he reach that milestone on his own without a proper mentor, but also absorbed all the knowledge and experience I imparted to him like a scholar's endless thirst for secrets of the unknown. I only guided his path, but he walked and reached the destination by himself. Thought the samurai saint. Meanwhile, Khan had thoughts of his own. With this, I can finally start and apply the knowledge and experience that the elder dragon of Cosmos, Salazar, imparted to me before they both ceased to exist. Thought Khan. He already received a lot of guidance and theories and learned of a few methods that the elder dragon of Cosmos told him when he met the future Khan during the Conclave of Heroes. However, the problem was that Khan was incapable of applying and trying even a single one of them because he had yet to achieve the fourth enlightenment in space law on his own. Now that he finally achieved it thanks to the sixth hero of space, Miyamoto Musashi, who himself had spent centuries studying the space law, it was an open path for him. Finally, he could use the knowledge and training methods imparted by the elder dragon of Cosmos, who spent thousands of years to achieve the fifth enlightenment and even came back in time with the original Khan just so he could help him achieve it ahead of time. I have had a ton of help in this timeline. Original Khan, elder dragon Salazar, god of darkness, and Kravel created a completely new path for me. And then there was the old man Rathnar, Master Throck, Master Romulus, Mentor Vildred, and now Master Musashi. Every single one of them has affected my accomplishment, my skills, my training, and the powers I have achieved at this moment. Even with all my divine abilities, or even with my eidetic memories, I would not have come even close to half of it if it weren't for them. All this effort, all this planning, just so I could kill the demon god. He thought to himself, there was so much at stake that many people from different timelines, a deity and even a gods arranged so many things for Khan just so he could stop the world from ending. Talk about a massive plot armor. He spoke and chuckled. Khan did not achieve his strength solely because everything was planned for him from the beginning. He too had a lion's share in it because of his hard work and his willingness to never give up. But he felt no shame in admitting that he would not be as whole as he is now if not for all of these monumental and powerful figures. If anything, it was now his duty to embrace his role as the hero of darkness and see through this war with the demon god till the very end. Otherwise, he would bring great shame to not only those who forged his destiny but also himself as a man. Maybe this is it. I always took it as if it were some great burden because I was forced into becoming the hero of darkness and sent into this world. I understand what the original Khan, the martial emperor, said to me that day. Spoke Khan as if a great revelation similar to an oracle dawned on Khan. The true measure of a man isn't what he reveals to the world, but what he hides from it. Those were the words the original Khan said to him. He did not understand them back then, but now the meaning dawned on him. On the surface, Khan was only playing the role of hero of darkness, creating business empires, learning skills, and increasing his strength so that he could survive. But in the end, all of it was only self-preservation. What other or greater goal did he have than simply surviving or protecting what was his? Up until now, his role as the hero of darkness was only a burden on him. But for the first time, he embraced it, and from the bottom of his heart, he strived to shoulder all the responsibilities that came with it. No longer Khan was a man whose fate and choices were controlled by others, whether it was the original Khan, Salazar, or God of Darkness. Shine! Suddenly, a bright light shone in the sky of Khan's world, and for the first time, it was no longer an empty barren land as the sun was created, signifying Khan's acceptance of himself. It also stood for the glimmer of hope and clarity he just received. I see it now, what I am today and how I became what I am. All these people who sacrificed so much for me, imparted their teachings and knowledge to me. It wasn't their selfishness or their own motives that forced it upon me. It's something I was always meant to do. Saving this world, said Khan as he finally embraced his goal and responsibility as the hero of darkness, is the true purpose of my life. Shing. Hum. But right then, the world around Khan started changing, and before he could react, he was pulled into a completely different universe where millions of planets existed close to each other. The time for us to meet has finally come, hero of darkness. My name is... He heard an otherworldly voice. However, Khan was shocked to his core as he could see that all these millions of planets, in all of their collectivity, created a silhouette of a living being. Ram, the god of space. Khan floated in the unfathomable and endless expanse of space, surrounded by billions of stars, a transcendent being staring back at him. Despite the entity being thousands of kilometers away, its presence was so overwhelming that it felt like he was gazing up at an immense mountain from afar. There was no face, mouth, or eyes, just a specter-like visage that had floating galaxies and even black holes within. The entire apparition resembled that of a white-garbed humanoid being with a head made of a bluish hue. Khan's body was covered in goosebumps, his mind a whirlwind of awe and bewilderment. The ethereal entity, its silhouette comprised of millions of planets, radiated an aura of cosmic authority. The time for us to meet has finally come, hero of darkness. My name is... With a voice that resonated through the fabric of space, it introduced itself. Rom, the god of space. Shock. This sudden predicament now discombobulated Khan's mind. But before he could speak and introduce himself, the god of space spoke. So you have the dimensional domain divine ability. No wonder you chose to study the space law. It is different from the original timeline, said Rom. Shatter. Crumble. As soon as the god of space's voice resounded, Khan could see hundreds of planets surrounding him shattering and turning into dust. As if this phenomenon wasn't a spectacle to behold, many of the suns in the solar system within the god's body ceased to exist while the black holes also shattered like glass. This situation was completely mind-boggling to Khan as his perception of the world was twisting. To crumble hundreds of planets, snuff out dozens of suns, and shatter numerous black holes with just a few words, Khan could simply not grasp the god of space's unimaginable power. The sheer magnitude of Rom's abilities was beyond Khan's comprehension. He struggled to wrap his mind around the fact that this being could manipulate the very fabric of the universe with a mere thought. The scope of Rom's power made even the most powerful entities Khan had encountered seem like insignificant specks. However, Khan felt like the second part of God's words had more twists to them. So you're aware of it too, O God of space? He asked in a respectful tone. Somehow, the outer space where sound couldn't usually travel in the vacuum. His words still reached God without a problem. Time is a spectrum that affects space differently. It's not as linear or continuous as it is from the world you came from, declared the God of space in a benign tone. Here, it can vary from place to place, planet to planet, and the realms that don't follow the same laws of space-time continuum. There are many universes in the multiverse where one's perception of time and space differs based on their perspective, species, and intellect as sentient beings. I have seen worlds where the laws of reality have bent to a bizarre degree. I have seen beings and races that have transcended even the concept and laws of death itself. And I myself am a sixth-dimension being that you call a god, stated the god, sharing some of his vast experience with Khan. Although I'm not like God of Time, you know why I can sense the shift in the timeline, right? He queried in an inspecting tone. Khan, on the other side, nodded as he responded, because space is a constant plane of existence, it remains independent of time. Khan repeated, attempting to solidify the concept in his mind. Two realms with identical dimensions and occupied space can exist simultaneously in different realities, each with its unique flow of time, yet the space itself remains unaffected. Sure, it can be alternative versions of each other like a standing mountain compared against a precipice, but the laws of space still operate on their own. Correct. It doesn't make sense to many. But you are not one of the many, replied the god of space, almost sounding satisfied. No wonder you achieved the fourth enlightenment so early. You have much free thinking and don't completely rely on what you know, much less base an entire assumption on the temporary information on hand. He spoke. With every word spoken by the god of space, the destruction of planets and galaxies continued. But Khan couldn't even dare to mention it or ask unnecessary questions that could irk the god. You could say I had a good teacher. Without him, I would still be so ignorant, said Khan as he bowed with a thankful expression. God of Space nodded and spoke. That is the reason why I asked my spokesperson to guide your way to the fourth enlightenment. I can also see that you have also met the elder dragon Salazar, said Rom, revealing his knowledge of the changed fates in this timeline. I reckon he already told you how to achieve the fifth enlightenment. He spoke sternly. Khan nodded and replied, "That he did. However, the knowledge he parted with me remains elusive since I haven't gained enough experience myself. Even the world I created is only at the infant stage. I have a long way to go." God of Space's visage, with no face, started waving his hands. "I know the irony of me saying this, but we're running out of time." Khan then asked seriously, "Why did you arrange Miyamoto-sensei to teach me? Shouldn't your earnest generosity extend to the hero of space first?" God of Space replied sternly, "My level of control and the help I provide my chosen one has limitations ever since I sent him to Vantria. The same remains for all the other gods and goddesses. You know how this works," revealed the God of Space. Khan nodded in understanding. Without a proper channel like a monastery, a spokesperson who serves directly under a god and has met prerequisite conditions, talking to the gods was impossible. He was certain that even meeting the God of Space was happening because he must have met certain conditions that allowed this temporary get-together. For that very reason, Khan still hadn't been able to contact the God of Darkness ever since he entered Vantria. "To be honest, I do not care about this war against the demon god at this point. Even if the world is destroyed, I would be left unaffected and will continue to exist for hundreds of billions of years. Maybe I'd finally die and get rest after living for such long. But what I do care is how his actions will affect the rest of the existence," stated Rom, almost sounding melancholic. Khan then asked in a sarcastic tone, "Why would the God of Space, who seems to be an amalgamation of millions of planets and who knows how many universes, care about the fate of a single planet? Is it because Vantria is in a way an existence like a mother to you?" To this question, the God of Space let out a sigh, destroying a few more universes within its body. "In a sense, yes, but my intentions and actions aren't dictated solely by that fact. I could have let go and not interfered in this war, but it's not my existence at the stake, rather the entirety of the multiverse itself," he declared. Khan was left dumbfounded again after hearing those words. "What do you mean?" he asked. "You know of the element of origin, right?" asked the God of Space. Khan nodded. He had seen the element of origin that was the source of all mana, world energy, and different elements of reality that he saw in the Hall of Sentience during his training period under Romulus and Vildred. It was the very thing that helped Khan increase his space law infusion and even allowed him to create the first form of his dimensional domain. "You call this world as Vantria. But we gods had another name for this world before any civilization or living beings came to be. It is, was, and always will be the first and the last. We called it—" God of Space spoke in a somber tone as he revealed the forgotten name of Vantria, Prime Ultimatus. The God of Space suddenly revealed Vantria's original name, the Prime Ultimatus. The god's voice carried a hint of mystery as he continued, "By now, you must have realized that your planet Earth is a variant of Vantria. But it's not the only one," he iterated. "Yes, I am aware. And if not wrong, our Earth is called by that name because of the existence of God of Earth in Vantria," said Khan, expressing his hypothesis. "Yes, it is one of the many things that takes after Vantria. But that's not all of it. There exist realities where Earth is just the same, but also has gods just like many religions that exist on Vantria as well as the ones on those various variants of Earth," expressed Rom. "So the gods in various religions and mythologies are real on some versions of Earth?" asked Khan. "Yes. Not only that, but even those versions of Earths have multiple realities where the world either thrives due to the existence of gods or is destroyed by those very beings you humans worship. The number of parallel realities keeps branching from each version of Earths, creating different versions of each other infinitely," explained the God of Space. "However, in the end, all those versions of Earth and millions of other worlds, that also have their own branches of realities, are in the end a mere and cheap imitations of Vantria," declared the God of Space. "Like I said before, this world is the first and the last. Vantria is the source of the multiverse, all realities, timelines, and laws of existence. And that is why we gods called it Prime Ultimatus, the peak, and the ultimate existence as well as the origin of them all." spoke the god of space in a stern tone. Shatter. Crumble. Even now, he didn't care when his words were destroying thousands of planets with unimaginable numbers of life forms in them. Shudder. Khan was simply shaken to his core and almost shivered in fear, imagining if one of those worlds was the Earth he came from. On one side, the god of space talked about saving Vantria, but on the other side, just his words transmitted to Khan were destroying universes. Yet, Ram showed no sense of care or tried to circumvent it. Watching his aghast countenance, Ram spoke in a domineering tone. Do not worry. Those universes and realities were meant to be destroyed. It's not yours or my responsibility to save or look after them. They are the ones with a bad ending. He explained in a disinterested voice. Ram then continued in a stern tone as he spoke. All gods came from Prime Ultimatus after it created us in order to evolve its own existence. Prime Ultimatus existed before the time itself. But to put parameters on the span of its evolution, it created the concept and laws of time, thus giving birth to its first sentient form, the god of time. The time had to flow and be finite over something that it occupied. Otherwise, there would be no use of time itself. So Prime Ultimatus created me, the god of space. Once it settled down and formed itself into a planet, it wanted to create life. But what is life but an eternal existence with no end? So before the first life came to be in this world, it created the law of death. Revealed the god of space, making a shocking revelation so casually. The god of darkness, responded Khan. God of space responded calmly. He represented not only death but also the darkness of the void with no time, space, life or light. Thus he became the first among the gods to represent two aspects of reality. And once the concept of death was established, Prime Ultimatus started the creation of this world. Then came the god of life, followed by the god of sentience. The life forms then needed to make sense and utilize the life and sentience they gained. Thus was born the goddess of knowledge. Declared Ram, sharing the order of the birth of gods themselves. One after another, the manifestations of reality were birthed by Prime Ultimatus. Hence, we also have the god of nature, light, lightning, sea, fire, and earth. There's also the goddess of wind. He then explained how gods were created by one after another billions of years ago by Prime Ultimatus. However, the Prime Ultimatus of the past was such a terrifying existence, these laws it created and manifested in the form of us gods. Their reach exceeded far beyond its own expectations. Even us gods, the beings with the highest authority in those aspects and laws of realities, could only watch as new realities, universe, timelines, and variants of them kept increasing every single moment. Revealed the god of space. This is so absurd and unfathomable, thought Khan to himself. So it created some sort of uncontrollable chain reaction, the one with no end as it keeps creating new worlds, universes, timelines, and realities? He asked with a petrified countenance. To his quivering voice, Ram replied, yes, and that is why we gods had to act. We were like dutiful children of a mother who had nothing but absolute loyalty and instinct to protect their parent. However, the more out of bounds Prime Ultimatus became, the more destruction and chaos it followed in all those realities and timelines. In the end, we all broke free and started siphoning its powers through the very laws and aspects of reality we were created from. Explained the god of space. There was a time when all of us wanted nothing more than to stop this incessant creation and destruction cycle of billions of worlds, timelines, and realities. We all have spent hundreds of billions of years in maintaining that balance. And by siphoning Prime Ultimatus' unending and infinite powers, let's just say that all the gods aren't just limited to Vantria. I alone, for example, am not just the god of space in Vantria. Stated the god of space and took a long pause. I am the god of space of the entire multiverse. Ram, the god of space, revealed that he was not only the god in Vantria but also the entire multiverse. I can control the space and all dimensions just like the other gods and goddesses control their aspect of reality across the multiverse with a single thought. Even if there was already a god of death in a particular universe or reality, the one you met can easily intervene and take over them with no resistance. said Rom in a prideful tone. Wait, I remember that the god of darkness once said that bringing my soul from Earth consumed a lot of his powers and he can't do that for 1,000 of years. Isn't that contradictory to what you said? Asked and queried Khan. So that's what he told you? Take a hint, he obviously lied to you. I reckon it was because of the arrangement he made with the original Khan Salvator. If the god of darkness truly wants, he can become to only god of death va darkness in the entire multiverse by killing every single one of them in a mere moment, since he is their creator. Said Rom. This revelation left Khan gobsmacked again. Looks like I have been undermining god of darkness a lot because the original Khan made things easier for me. He thought to himself, recognizing his own impudence. It's just that those petty gods from worlds similar to yours play that useless part for us, without even the knowledge that they are mere ants to us. And we leave them alone because there are simply too many worlds, universes, and realities to even keep account. It's akin to willingly inviting an everlasting headache for an eternity. We gods aren't that big of fools. So we leave these worlds as they are and focus on the most important one of them all. That is Vantria, declared the god of space in a thoughtful voice. So if Prime Ultimatus is destroyed? Asked Khan as he realized. Yes, the entire multiverse itself will also be destroyed, replied Rom calmly. Khan then remembered what the Martial Emperor said. This is bigger than you and me. There are many things far more valuable than your own life at stake. Killing the demon god regardless of the cost, even if it means our death. This is the only way to save this world, to save everything. Khan finally understood what the original Khan said. He wasn't talking about embracing his role as hero of darkness and playing his part in the war against the demon god due to some sudden change in heart or some irrelevant reason. The Martial Emperor wanted the current Khan to prepare for the Great War because he was trying to save the entire multiverse. Truth be told, I wanted to see you since the moment you achieved the Third Enlightenment. However, I have had my fair share of disappointments in the past hundreds of millions of years. Most never reach the Fourth Enlightenment regardless of their talent or eagerness. There have been only 7 beings who even achieved the Fifth Enlightenment themselves. Only one could become a demigod, thus becoming the deity of cosmos. Khan asks, the celestial guardian that oversees the conclave of heroes? Correct. When the gods agreed to hold the conclave of heroes by creating their respective peninsulas and realms with their own divine essence. However, Hesperides in itself is a different realm that can be accessed only through the gates that were created in each of the first empires that started serving gods. It's a triple layer of multiple dimensions that overlap each other. So the only one who could send himself as a soul projection and maintain these realms without all of them destroying each other was my retainer, said Rom as he divulged this secret. Khan understood why it was the deity of cosmos who took the role of the celestial guardian. Because other than god of space, he was the only one eligible to protect and mandate the conclave of heroes. Otherwise, these realms would have torn and eaten each other. And the margin of error left behind was the realm tiers that he used to travel between 2 different peninsulas. Otherwise, Khan would not be alive at the moment had the conclave of heroes not been overseen by the deity of cosmos. And you have already met with the only dragon ever to achieve the 5 Enlightenment end as well. Khan nods at the mention of Salazar, the elder dragon of cosmos. He was one of the most interesting ones. God beasts, dragons, and the other 3 primordial species have always been defiant of gods and do not acknowledge us since they are the strongest beings of the mortal realm. Hence, seeing a royal dragon, the one who was the strongest of his generation choosing to abolish his own element that he was born with just to learn and forge his own path by studying the space law, it was a remarkable experience. Stated god of space in a bemused tone. Khan nodded. That was the elder dragon of cosmos that even the Martial Emperor respected. And he was prideful enough to bare his teeth at me when I summoned him to this dimension after he achieved the 5th Enlightenment, said god of space in an amused tone. It is sad that he chose to erase his existence from the world and all the timelines just to send the original version of Khan Salvator in the past and change the fate of this new timeline. I must admit, the current you is the result of the sacrifice made by Salazar and the original Khan Salvator. And they are the main reason why I sent my decree to my spokesperson Matuto Musashi, instructing him to teach you. Although you have the talent and free thinking to achieve it on your own, it would have taken you decades to even reach the fourth enlightenment. Kon agreed. Had it not been for Miyamoto-sensei, I think it would have taken me at least 30 years to gain the enlightenment. Kon felt no shame in giving credit where it was due. So why would go so far, and why did you say that we're running out of time? God of Space spoke, his voice resounding and destroying thousands of planets and galaxies again. My initial plans were to offer you my help and turn you into the acolyte of Cosmos. He divulged his plans. Is it different than an apostle? Yes, it would be no different than you abandoning your role as hero of darkness and becoming the new hero of space. Kon was shocked. You already have the potential and even the dimensional law divine ability that I created myself. To be honest, on the merit alone, you have surpassed the necessary eligibility criterias even compared to the person I chose myself. However, considering what's about to happen soon, the last thing I want is to go to war with God of Darkness when the end is so near. The God of Space revealed his intentions. The original you already planned a lot of things in the original timelines and arranged for your creations to become apostles as well. Even I couldn't notice such drastic change in the timeline until the Conclave of Heroes was just 2 days away. Spoke Rom in a firm voice. That was why I arranged my representatives to side with you and even aid you if necessary. On top of it, you're already the Apostle of War. He iterated in a slightly pleased tone. Given the present situation, I cannot extend any more help, some special class or powers to you. Otherwise, your soul would explode. Stated the God of Space, revealing the main reason why he had to change his prior plans for Kon after summoning him into this infinite space, a realm of his creation. Kon understood the God of Space's pragmatic reasoning. His body was already hosting 3 divine abilities, 5 blessings, for gifts, 3 of which came from the deities of blacksmithing while becoming a cosmic ether entity. If God of Space added anything else in the name of help, Kon was most likely to go nuclear. So now that you have summoned me here and learned who I am, what are your plans with me? Asked Kon in a curious tone. God of Space made a small gesture and showed different versions of realities where the main focus was Elric. After knowing your existence, I looked into your origin. And to be precise, there was nothing remarkable and even something unique about your life since the moment you were born. Stated Rom. There are millions of you, all of whom have lived and died as Elric Johnson in their respective realities and timelines. So I wondered what made you so special that God of Darkness chose you in the original timeline. And I finally found the reason. He declared in a joyous voice. And what reason is that? Asked Kon, his countenance turning serious as he felt an inevitable sense of threat. Every version has lived as Elric Johnson. Some of them have even traveled to different worlds. However, there is only one who called himself Kon Salvatore after coming to this world in the original timeline. The reason you should ask that to God of Darkness. It is not my responsibility to reveal, said Rom, the God of Space in a cryptic voice. However, in light of learning the truth, I have a proposition to make, now that all of the plans have no meaning left. Spoke the God of Space in a sinister voice. What I want you, hero of darkness, said God of Space as he revealed his new plan, is to become my vessel. Out of nowhere, the God of Space proposed that Kon become his vessel, leaving the latter bewildered in sheer disbelief. Kon could not fathom or absorb this unexpected twist appearing in this congregation. Yet he tried to come to terms with it, and soon, he declared his response. How is that even possible? You said that giving me any help at this point would destroy my soul. And even if I'm a saint, does it make sense for a god to be able to use a human as a vessel without any repercussions? Asked Kon, slightly anxious. Yes, it is possible, if you no longer have a soul itself, replied the God of Space sternly. Shock! No way in hell I'm doing that, shouted Kon in defiance. What Rom meant was simply Kon dying, his soul disappearing, and then the God of Space taking possession of his body right now during this meeting. He wanted Khan to sacrifice himself for the sake of saving the multiverse. But Khan made his intentions very clear to the god of space. To refuse an almighty god, well, it wasn't his first time, so to speak. Think about it, you're currently the most suitable person for me to do it, even better than the current hero of space. Maybe even the original Khan Salvatore planned for it to happen, said Rom, suggesting an unforeseen mystery. Shake. Khan, on the other end, quickly shook his head in denial. The way I talked with him and everything he told me to do, there's no way he planned for it. And I'm not a buffoon either, to fall for your words just because you're a god, replied Khan with a firm voice. Sigh. The god of space's sigh destroyed hundreds of planets again in their respective universes. Even when the inevitable annihilation is at your doorsteps, all the mortals, regardless of their species or powers, still choose to adhere to their own beliefs and think they can do better. That futile emotion you call hope is but a useless notion in face of destiny, he stated, reminiscing his own experience. Who do you think will be far superior choice at destroying the demon god? You or me? Can you even utilize the dimensional law divine ability to its fullest extent, better than me at that? He asked in a cajoling tone. What we have at stake here isn't just one world or two, but the entire multiverse and everything that ever existed. Yet you can't even relinquish your body and let me end this war? Asked Rom in a reprimanding tone. Khan's expression turned serious, but his eyes became resolute. You may be right. You possibly could end this war if I give you my body right now. But what you have is just an obstinate view of this world as a god and not a living being whose existence relies on the survival of Vantria. Even if this world is destroyed, you will continue to live and maybe even create new worlds out of boredom. You have backup plans? But there is no plan B for me, said Khan firmly. Besides, I owe it to a lot of people to see this through till the end, declared Khan in a stoic voice. Rom found this sentiment completely useless to their cause. Shame. First, the hero of space disappointed me with his stagnant progress in the space law, and now you, the most suitable vessel, also denying my proposition. It seems as if all my plans are turning pointless now, he iterated in an exasperated tone. Khan asked curiously, and what plans were those, if I may ask? To his query, the god of space responded in a regretful tone. Had the hero of space achieved the fourth enlightenment by now, I wouldn't even have to ask you, a chosen hero of another god. Tremble. Khan's eyes were wide open as he jolted in shock. So you plan to take over his body from the start? He queried with an aghast countenance. Yes, the current hero of space wasn't chosen solely for his qualities, but because he knew very well that one day, he might become my vessel should the situation force our hand. And he is the kind of person who would have understood the responsibility we both have and the consequence if we failed to protect this world. Revealed the god of space. He was keen on becoming stronger to protect Vantria and his home world. That is why he accepted this responsibility in the first place, stated Rom. To this divulged information, Khan replied sternly, well, unfortunately, I used to be a man who never took charge of his life, surviving in a complacent environment just because it was the safer way than redefining myself through challenges and risks. That has changed ever since I came to Vantria. And now, I have become a very selfish bastard myself. I hate losing what is mine, and I will do absolutely everything in my power to protect what I have. I may not be some righteous hero like your hero of space who would sacrifice himself for the sake of this world. But I'm the kind of man who would rather take control of fate itself than let it dictate my life. And for that very reason, I humbly decline your proposition, said Khan, this time showing proper respect to the god of space but resolutely stating his final decision. Rom showed no contempt towards Khan's refusal for some reason and continued in a sagacious voice, we still have a few years, but if you don't become a demigod before the demon god, then our only choice will be meeting like this again if you achieve the fifth enlightenment in the space law. Do you understand how uncertain that kind of future is? He said. Would you still wager the fate of the entire multiverse just because you are ignorant of your own achievements so far? He asked in an authoritative tone. One would consider those as an insult to Khan. However, the latter was not irked by them. I would not because I'm overconfident. You may not know this about me yet, but unlike all the other heroes summoned in this generation, I didn't achieve what I have just because of me being a chosen hero of a god who had useful divine abilities. And certainly, the original Khan and Salazar indeed made my current life possible. It's also true that I have received a lot of help from others too. I have no problem with it, and neither would I deny their part in it. However, cited Khan as his entire countenance relaxed. He pointed and tapped at his head with the right forefinger. I'm what I am today because of my own mind and my nature, said Khan as he made a firm declaration. I have made mistakes, but I have also learned from them. I have gained strength and willpower to survive in this world because I had no support or any kind of backing since the day of my arrival. I have killed for it. I have bled for it, he loudly proclaimed. Rom too showed an interested gaze. I have suffered immense torture and died more than 1,000,000 times just to become the best at everything possible for me. And through all those struggles, hardships, and dangers I have faced in this new life, my mind and my wit have always been the strongest ally who helped me adapt and overcome every situation. To you, I may be a selfish and an ignorant fool, but anyone close to me would wholeheartedly agree that. Khan then ended his words in a resolute voice. I'm a survivor. The infinite expanse of space and universes suddenly stagnated, halting its cycle as the god of space was intrigued by Khan's firm declaration. Such hubris. Even your predecessor, the 8th hero of darkness, who was the strongest hero to exist so far, went above and beyond to kill the other chosen heroes, but still couldn't kill the demon god. You're outnumbered, outmatched, and fighting for a hopeless war because even now, the other gods and the empires are still lingering over their petty politics and greed for power. With all of these obstacles, you're bound for failure just like the 8th hero of darkness. So tell me, what makes you think you can fare better? He asked in a daunting tone. What makes you think you'll be any different than those who came before you? What says that you won't fail in front of the destiny itself? Asked Rom, the god of space. Khan clenched his fist and raised his head as he replied with an unfettered and undefeatable will. Unless I win. Khan floated in the infinite cosmos filled with millions of universes, billions of planets existing in unison as he faced Rom, the god of space. The god on the other end seemed slightly impressed with Khan's conviction. By now, both Khan and Rom knew that without the former's permission, the latter couldn't take over his body. Even gods valued the consent of their chosen heroes, the people brought from other worlds for an unknown reason. And this played into Khan's favor in this meeting with the god of space. Ah, you mortals and your stupidity, to think you can handle things better than us gods. This war wouldn't have carried on and ended 3,000 years ago had there been a suitable candidate for me back then. But your defiance and pestilence knows no bound. Spoke Rom in an irritated tone. Fine. Have it your way, hero of darkness. But do know that if one day Vantria is completely destroyed, as you breathe your final moments, remember that you had a choice to stop all of it. But you didn't do so mainly because of the arrogant beliefs that made you hopeful. Declared Rom in an authoritative tone. Well, if I agreed to become your vessel, I would be dead anyway, wouldn't I? He asked the god sarcastically. Yes, you would. But the soul of one hero against the existence of the entire multiverse. I would call it more than a reasonable bargain. Replied Rom. Ah, it makes me feel sad for God of Darkness, given how things are unfolding. You found a hero who would lay down his life to protect the multiverse without hesitation. And then there's God of Darkness, who chose a greedy and selfish bastard like me who would rather risk its destruction than embrace his death. Ironically, I wanted to die the moment I met him, and now, I want to live and save this world by my own choice. Said Khan, lamenting how the past him and the current him were different and completely opposite to each other in that aspect. So I will do everything the way I see fit than to relinquish my body to you or anyone else, said Khan firmly. The reassurance of his own decision Khan made God of Space feel a bit excited in a way. Because on one hand, his own hero struggled with conviction while Khan, a person chosen by another god, remained unfazed yet had a strong belief in himself. Then this ends our encounter, Consalvator. Regardless of your decision to deny the proposal, I hope you do succeed. For me, it's been a while since I spectated an interesting individual such as yourself. Yet, whatever it may come to, I hope we meet again before the end of this world. Iterated Rom solemnly. Khan gave an understanding nod in response because he too knew the weight of his responsibilities now that he met the god of space himself. What was to come in the future? It remained a mystery. Blip. The next moment, Khan found himself back inside the world of his creation, standing beside Miyamoto Musashi. Khan, did you just? Asked the Sword Saint. Yes, I met him, I met the god of space. Replied Khan, still remembering the surreal experience he had inside the infinite space. That realm, it was created by the god of space? Asked Khan as he gazed at his sensei. No, it was not. Rather, it was the point of origin of the multiverse. God of space not only occupies it but also oversees it like a silent guardian, a watchful protector. Replied the samurai swordsman. The number of universes, planets, and realities I saw there were endless. Can someone like us even achieve a fraction of that power even if we were to become demigods or achieve the fifth enlightenment in the space law? Asked Khan with an anticipatory gaze. I do not know, but what I do know is that becoming a demigod is just the first step. Responded Miyamoto Musashi with a light chuckle. I died before I could come close to that first step. Hopefully, you at least get a chance to do it on my behalf. Replied the first emperor of the Erd Empire. Khan made a 90-degree bow and spoke with a respectful tone. I will try my best, sensei. He lifted his head and saw the world he created. After looking at the origin of multiverse, I think I understand few things about my own world, said Khan. Oh ho, and what would that be? Asked the Sword Saint, bemused. That although the world is a representation of who I am and what I will become as a person, spoke Khan and halted his words. Tap. He tapped his right foot on the ground and the very next moment, his cosmic ether spread into the nearby 100 kilometers. It doesn't have to be limited to my own characteristics or imagination, he said. Rumble. In the following moments, the desolate and dreary world created by Khan, which had nothing but black lifeless ground before, started evolving. Soon, the different multicolored creations such as mountains, rivers of fresh water, trees, and clouds started appearing in this empty world, beginning the start of an ecosystem. The elder dragon Salazar was indeed right. Space law isn't about just manipulating or utilizing the space or the true dimension itself. I was a fool to think that it was limited to primitive stuff such as just teleportation or attacking using the Space Force. He thought, it is very well capable of not only creating a world that we can by achieving the fourth enlightenment, can make it real, declared Khan. What? Exclaimed the Sword Saint with his eyes wide open. I felt it when I saw the god of space. He wasn't just overseeing the multiverse. If my guess is right, he was altering the course of the multiverse and all the universes in it. I saw many galaxies and all the life forms in them dying. Yet I didn't feel any life force from them even as a mere spectator. Stated Khan. Do you mean those worlds were not real? Asked Musashi skeptically. No, they were real. However, all of them felt like replicas of the real thing, created perfectly with every minute detail. I believe that the god of space doesn't just control the multiverse. He's balancing and preserving all life forms living in it. Khan's bold claim even shocked the Sword Saint. Maybe that's what he hoped that I would understand by meeting him. In a way, he might have just given me a strong weapon to use against this demon god everyone speaks of. Iterated Khan and let out a confident smirk. Miyamoto Musashi stayed confused, unable to comprehend what Khan was talking about. I know what I need to do than just train and increase my power. And I would also like to meet him, said Khan as he eagerly gazed at his space law mentor. Meet who? Asked the Sword Saint. Khan smiled. looking at the evolving world around him as the pitch-black world now started becoming a serene landscape filled with nature. He spoke with an intrigued countenance as he mentioned the person he wished to meet after this encounter, the hero of space. After expressing his intentions to deliver upon his end of the deal finally, Khan asked Miyamoto Musashi about what kind of man the current hero of space was. The present one is the 10th hero of space. He is older than you just by 3 years. Compared to his predecessors, those who came after me, he has a strong sense of duty and his willpower to carry out justice is one of the best I've seen. In a way, his discipline and hard work reminded me of myself when I was young. However, not every obstacle can be overcome just by hard work or sheer willpower. Some of them require talent and a free outlook on the world as well, similar to how you have. Revealed the Sword Saint. You are not bound by a certain sense of ideology, morality, or tradition. You're not even a religious man despite being a literal representative of a god. You have no problem acknowledging the differences of opinions, customs, lifestyles, and even a sense of justice. You are much open-minded in that sense. He iterated, pointing out the difference between Khan and the hero of space. Khan's ears perked up and with an investigative tone, he asked, "Then what about the hero of space? Why didn't you teach him your swordsmanship skills just like you taught me and Omega?" To his query, the ancestor emperor of the Empire of Space responded, "Because no one can use them without meeting certain criteria such as advancements in Spsi law or having unlocked a particular class as a samurai warrior. Take you for example, you already achieved the third enlightenment in the Spsi law before I even heard about your existence. All that by just reading books from someone who studied them for centuries and without even having a proper mentor. My other disciple, Omega, he already had the dual swords samurai class unlocked, making him a perfect candidate for me to pass down my teachings of Nitin Ichiryu." Iterated the Sword Saint. Khan nodded in agreement. Although Khan's first 3 achievements were significantly influenced by certain factors, such as the invaluable books and research material left by Solomon Elfenheim, the elf semi-saint he encountered in Flavit City, who had also dedicated his studies to the space law, it was not merely external aids that facilitated his success. By delving into Solomon Elfenheim's extensive collection, Khan gained his first 2 enlightenments in space law almost effortlessly. This profound library provided a strong foundation, allowing Khan to build his knowledge and understanding rapidly. Furthermore, Khan achieved his 3rd enlightenment with the aid of the linchpin of the multiverse, a remarkable realm housed within the Tablet of Arcana. This mystical realm offered unique insights and perspectives that were crucial in advancing Khan's comprehension of the space law. However, it is important to acknowledge that his achievements were not solely due to these external resources. Khan's open-mindedness and willingness to explore the world played a pivotal role in his success. His broad perspective allowed him to absorb and integrate diverse knowledge and wisdom, which was essential in reaching such profound levels of enlightenment. Khan's intellectual curiosity and adaptability enabled him to transcend the limitations that many others faced, highlighting the importance of a receptive and expansive mindset in the pursuit of knowledge and mastery. Soon, Miyamoto Musashi spoke with a thoughtful voice. In his original world, the country he inhabited bore a striking resemblance to the current Urdhva Empire, and even to Japan during the Sengoku era on Earth. The societal structures, cultural norms, and political intricacies mirrored these historic and fantastical realms, creating a familiar yet unique environment. One significant difference between his world and ours was the presence of noble bloodlines blessed by the kami, gods. These divine blessings endowed them with unique powers once they reached a certain age, powers that were intrinsically tied to their innate affinities with specific elements of nature. These affinities manifested in the form of divine spirits, which could appear as various animals, monsters, and sometimes even as demons. Among the ruling authorities under the shogun, each noble clan was associated with different elements, and the successors of these clans were destined to form contracts with the divine spirits upon assuming the role of the clan leader. Elaborated the Sword Saint. Miyamoto Musashi then continued in a composed tone. The shogun's bloodline, on the other hand, possessed a unique and unparalleled power. Unlike other clans, They had the ability to contract with not just one, but a total of 5 of the strongest divine spirits, rendering them far superior and stronger than any other noble families. Our hero of space was born into this illustrious lineage, destined to be the next shogun in his world. However, his path was fraught with tragedy and challenge. When he was just 7 years old, his father, who could only contract with 3 divine spirits due to failing to gain the acknowledgement of the latter 2 most powerful spirits, was assassinated. This treacherous act was orchestrated by his own daimyos, feudal lords, who betrayed him. In the ensuing chaos, many members of his clan and family sacrificed their lives to ensure his escape from the massacre. The young heir was forced into hiding, where he spent decades training under the shogun's loyal Hatamotos, guardians of the flag/banner men. These dedicated warriors honed his skills and prepared him for the arduous journey ahead. At the age of 25, driven by a burning desire for vengeance after witnessing the slaughter of his entire family and clan, our hero of space returned. By then, he had achieved what his father could not. He gained the acknowledgement and formed contracts with all the ancestral divine spirits. Furthermore, he subdued 2 demonic spirits, thereby wielding the powers of 7 such beings, surpassing all his ancestors in power and might. Armed with this formidable strength, he embarked on a mission to reclaim his birthright. He systematically eliminated the traitor clans, exacting justice for the betrayal that had decimated his family. Finally, his journey for vengeance marked a turning point for his country. He became the shogun, liberating his land from oppression and unifying it under one rule for the betterment of all. Cited the 6th hero of space, recounting the current hero of space's life story. "So you mean to tell me?" Khan's expression on the other side was simply stifled as he spoke with a baffled voice. "The hero of space is the goddamn main character?" Khan was simply bewildered after hearing the current hero of space's origin story, wondering if he was the main character of this saga. "This guy checks every single box," Khan mused, placing his fingers on his chin in contemplation. What Miyamoto Musashi recounted about the hero of space was merely a summary. The tale was rich with classic elements that define a protagonist's journey. Witnessing the death of loved ones is a standard origin story for many heroes, a prime example being a billionaire who dressed as a bat to fight crime. Similarly, the hero of space spent decades training under master-level warriors, much like the billionaire who honed his skills under Asian ninjas and African tribes before returning to his city to combat injustice. The hero of space followed the archetypal path of defying fate and surpassing all his predecessors in his bloodline. Just the hero's journey to find and make those divine spirits would be enough to provide a plotline for a whole arc contracting with 5, and then even going beyond to subdue 2 more demonic spirits was enough for half the story. Then returning to exact revenge and finally reclaiming his rightful place as the ruler of the country. By the very definition, the hero of space was the main character. Hell, there's a whole genre in entertainment media over centuries in historical literature and folklore that had this classic setup. Add in support characters and establish proper world building. One could write an entire novel with those ideas alone. Spoke Khan to himself. That's why even Khan couldn't help but wonder whether it was the hero of space who was supposed to be the main protagonist of this story. Imagine reading a novel for more than 1,000 chapters just to realize that all of this was just the prologue before the main character was finally introduced. Forget others, I myself will break the dimensional barrier and hunt down that bastard author. He spoke in an exasperated tone. But in front of his sensei, Khan used a different tone to address his surprise. Very admirable and inspiring, I must say. On Earth, he would have become a historical figure for future generations, said Khan, acknowledging the strength and valor of the current hero of space. But how did he end up as the hero of space? You said he is the same age as me, but in your case you were summoned at the end of your life, he queried. But the very next moment, the Sword Saint's countenance turned serious. Not everyone gets a happy ending. Just a year later, foreigners came to his lands. With their advanced weaponry and naval combat skills, while possessing the power of magic, they made a quick footing and established strongholds over the coasts of his country. The country itself was not even stabilized after the Civil War, and the newly established regiment of officials were barely settled. But the sudden invasion put the warring country into chaos very quickly. Explained the sensei. This feels like something I've read already. From the fall of the shogunate, then becoming the first unifier of his country, and then foreigners invading his lands via ships. So this guy basically lived through 3 different eras of Japan's history in his single lifetime. Thought Khan to himself. In the end, the hero of space made a decisive battle with the invaders, leading their country to victory. Iterated the Sword Saint. Khan then spoke.
Isensa, bute, kuming.
Ha! You're right. Musashi lightly chuckled as he responded. In the final battle, he burnt his entire life force and used all the spirits excessively, just to save the lives of thousands of soldiers from his army troops. After the war, he fell sick and was on the brink of death from the severe backlash. But he made sure that the people would not suffer from another invasion and that no other civil war would occur before his demise. However, it was just moments before his death that the god of space summoned him, showing him the truth of his world and how it was just one of the infinite universes and timelines in the multiverse. Explained Miyamoto Musashi. After finding that his reality was just a speck of dust in the grand scheme of things, he quickly took up the responsibility. He had seen war and bloodshed since young age. He related to the suffering of the weak and poor since he spent decades living among them while hiding his true identity. He always thought that as the rightful ruler, it was his responsibility and life's purpose to protect the innocent and weak. To put it simply, he is a man of honor. Iterated the Sword Saint. Khan gave an understanding nod. Although he wasn't keen on following something like the code of honor akin to Bushido that the samurai practiced, he certainly knew few people who followed them. First, it was Maximus Gladius, the hero of nature whom he met in the Beast Empire. And now it was the hero of space. To meet him, we will have to give you a separate new identity, said the sensei. I already have one in mind, but you will have to help me use the name of some of your demos, responded Khan, and thus began the preparations for his official meeting with the hero of space. Meanwhile, in a separate realm created for the sole purpose of training a powerful saint, an intriguing scenario came to be. Amidst thousands of shattered mountains and craters big enough to encompass a small town, stood a half-naked warrior with waist-length black hair and glowing mauve-colored eyes. His ripped upper body filled with glowing black, red and blue tattoos was now riddled with slashing wounds, and the katana in his hand was releasing a dense form of the Space Force. If Khan were to be present here, he could tell that it wasn't the conventional Space Force and neither was it cosmic ether. Rather an evolved form of the former created by this man himself. Crack. A void crack opened and a gray-haired samurai entered this realm. You have been training hard. To see that you became a 6th-stage saint just in 6 months. It makes me proud, said this man in royal attire. I greet the Tenno Haika, His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor, said this saint warrior as he knelt on one knee. This was Sakamoto Hideyoshi, the Emperor of the Empire of Space. The Emperor gazed at the warrior's wounds and spoke. You do not need to push yourself so far. You have been like this ever since you returned from the Conclave of Heroes. He stated. What can I do? I have fallen behind so badly despite all the training and hard work. Responded the samurai warrior. Do not say that. Compared to the previous 3 heroes of space, your progress in just 8 years, to even become a 5th-stage saint is commendable, said Hideyoshi in a benign tone. But the hero of space's expression turned sullen and harrowed. Yet, compared to the hero of darkness who was summoned just 6 years ago, already becoming a 6th-stage saint despite being hunted by all the empires, I am nothing remarkable. The dominance he displayed, the unwavering fortitude in the way he talked and carried himself in front of all of the emperors, empresses, and heroes, he made me realize that I'm still not worthy to carry the burden of saving this world from the demon god. Iterated the hero with a sense of admiration but also with a guilty heart. Comparison is the thief of joy, said Sakamoto Hideyoshi as he looked at the destroyed 50-kilometer radius. Chuckle. Ha! For me, it a good competition and source of motivation. said the hero, and soon, his wounds healed in an instant as he summoned a set of black hakama, traditional Japanese indoor clothes for samurai and nobility in 16th century. Let's go. It's time you meet your new party members, said the emperor. However, the hero's expression stiffened as he spoke. I am still against replacing my allies just because they were severely injured during the trials of the god of space. I do not abandon people just because they're no longer useful to me, stated the hero firmly. Do not worry, they're just temporary substitutes. Both of them were against it more than you, said the emperor, and opened a void crack to leave this realm. As he turned his face, a content smile appeared on the old emperor's face, satisfied by the answer that the hero did not like throwing away people like mere chess pieces. This was a man chosen by Ram, the god of space. A man who did not shy away from hardships or his responsibilities and even acknowledged the difference of caliber when someone was better than him. A man of honor and moral code, embodying the spirit of a samurai, the 10th hero of space, Sasakai Ryukin. In a pristine castle, an epitome of ancient Japanese architecture and craftsmanship, the white and dark brown colors of the structure perfectly complemented the blooming beauty of the spring season. The cherry blossoms in full bloom added a touch of ethereal beauty, their petals gently drifting in the breeze, creating a scene of tranquility and serenity. However, despite this peaceful and serene backdrop, an important meeting of powerful saints was underway. Within the castle grounds, amidst hundreds of vigilant guards and over a dozen saint-rank warriors of various professions, stood a pagoda. This pagoda, constructed from the highest quality vibrant orange wood, served as the centerpiece of this grand meeting. Its elegant design and rich colors made it a striking contrast to the rest of the castle, drawing attention to the gravity of the assembly taking place within its walls. A total of 8 figures, accompanied by soldiers on both sides, walked in the center of the stone path as the ponds nearby were filled with golden and red carp, adding more life to this environment. Soon, the servants, who were a mix of various races and species exclusive to the Erd Vampire, started offering refreshments and freshly brewed tea of the highest quality dried tea leaves available. Sip. They're late. Sakamoto-sama said the new members would arrive right in the middle of the day. Spoke an enchanting woman in a purple kimono as 9 white furry tails wiggled behind her gracefully. To hear that Yukimura Dano and Hanzo Dano are being replaced so soon just because of their fatal injuries, it boils my blood, to be honest. Spoke a giant red figure with 2 heads. Even while sitting on a zabuton, his height was 1.5 meters. Stop it! To oppose the order of our lord, it is treason, exclaimed a frail-looking man in the white and violet garbs of an exorcist. Tongue. But before their conversation could continue, the guards announced the arrival of the guests. 2 tall and extremely fit warriors stepped in while being escorted by the servants. In the meeting hall, 8 people waited for these guests. Soon, the head servant started introducing everyone to the new arrivals as part of the customs. This is Lady Kagura, said the old man while bowing slightly. The lady he referred to was an enchanting beauty with fox ears and 9 tails, elegantly adorned in a purple kimono. Her captivating feminine features and peerless beauty were so striking that they could make any straight man instantly fall in love with her. The purple kimono, intricately designed with delicate patterns of cherry blossoms and flowing rivers, only enhanced her ethereal charm. Twitch. Her fox ears twitched subtly, and her 9 tails swayed gracefully behind her, adding an air of mystique to her presence. Every movement she made exuded grace and allure, her enchanting aura filling the room and captivating all who laid eyes on her. This is Lady Tomo, said the servant, gesturing towards a Yuki-Ana, snow demon. She was veiled in a white kimono, her glowing eyes with crystalline blue irises and silver hair giving her the appearance of an ice queen. Her glossy white skin, paired with the cold, penetrating gaze in her eyes, added a tangible chill to the air around her. The ethereal beauty and icy demeanor of Lady Tomo made her presence both captivating and formidable, as if the very essence of winter had taken human form. The intricate patterns on her kimono shimmered like frost on a window pane, enhancing her regal and otherworldly aura. "This is Lord Shinjen," said the old man as he pointed towards the twin-headed and four-handed red ogre who had a legendary rank kanabo, club weapon, lying beside him. "This is Lord Ishin," introduced the head servant as he bowed towards the frail human who seemed to be an onmyoji, demon exorcist/priest, human with spiritual powers. "She is Lady Momoko," spoke the old man, respectfully addressing a Joragumo, spider demon, who held a wagasa, Japanese wooden umbrella. Despite her human-like appearance, she had 4 green eyes and 4 spider legs protruding from her back. Lady Momoko exuded an aura of danger mixed with mysterious allure, making those who met her gaze feel a shiver run down their spine. Her kimono, adorned with intricate spider web patterns, swayed gently as she moved, adding to her enigmatic presence. The combination of her delicate human features and the menacing spider traits created a captivating contrast that left an indelible impression on all who encountered her. "Sitting next to her is Lord Dasho," said the servant as he addressed a monk in yellow Buddhist garb with beads around his neck while a kakura was placed in front of him. "May Amitabha and Mahakala guide you," spoke the monk, greeting the guests gently. "Opposite to him is Lord Kensei," said the servant as he pointed towards a human warrior who used naginata, Japanese halberd, as his main weapon. And as soon as the servant was about to address the last person at the very end of this sitting arrangement, a 2-meter-tall fiery red tiger adorned with golden ornaments around its neck and legs, and a floating golden ethereal shawl, draped over its back, lay majestically on the floor. Its presence commanded attention, serving as a regal chair for someone, making its formidable appearance known to all. This ethereal tiger, who had 2 bright red glowing horns coming out of its forehead, was a divine spirit, the first of its kind witnessed by the 2 guests. Its fiery fur seemed to flicker like flames, and its golden ornaments shimmered in the light, adding to its majestic aura. Resting comfortably on the belly of this massive, ferocious tiger was a long black-haired, handsome Japanese man with strong and imposing features. His presence exuded both endearment and authority, a kingly figure who commanded respect and admiration. This distinguished individual was none other than the hero of space, Sasuke Ryukin. All of their gazes were now focused on the 2 new arrivals. At the front was a silver-haired tall man with his upper body exposed, revealing the black runic tattoos across his chest, waist, and back. His black right arm resembled that of a claw of a demon, while the bracers on the left arm showcased a mastercrafted part of armor. "Huh? What kind of yokai is that? A dog? A wolf? Is he a descendant of the Inagami, Japanese dog deity?" spoke Kensei with a curious tone. "Look at those katanas. Both of them are legendary rank. We barely have one weapon of such rank for ourselves while he is openly displaying 2 of them," said Shinjen, the tall Oni warrior. Raijin and Kaijin, the 2 legendary rank katanas, had attracted everyone's attention from the get-go. However, the massive tiger suddenly opened its eyes and growled at the 2 guests with hostile intent, deeming them threatening. "Calm down, they're not enemies," said Ryukin in a gentle voice. Shing. Suddenly, the red tiger's entire body turned into ethereal energy and was absorbed by the hero of space. The very next moment, a massive red glowing tattoo with some parts resembling the head and claws of the tiger appeared over both his arms. "Apologies. He is usually unwelcoming towards new faces," said Ryukin and slightly bowed his head. "I, Raiden, greet the hero of space, Ryukin-sama," said Omega, sticking to his second persona for their stay in the Erd Vampire. "Raiden, huh? The world I come from. It was the name of the god of thunder and lightning in my lands," spoke the hero of space in an amicable tone, welcoming Omega in a respectful tone. And finally, it was time for Khan, the second person who had garnered everyone's attention. Khan had transformed his face and entire physical appearance to establish his new identity. He now appeared as a slender-looking Japanese man with a very handsome and striking face. His shoulder-length silky black hair framed his features elegantly, enhancing his distinguished and captivating presence. The transformation was so complete that even those who knew him well would have struggled to recognize him. His new visage exuded confidence and charisma, traits that drew the attention of everyone in the room. As he stepped forward, the air seemed to hum with anticipation, the room falling silent as all eyes fixed upon him. Other than the monk and the hero of space, most male members found this man's appearance irksome for reasons unknown. The 3 female members, on the other hand, revealed interested and slightly charmed expressions, with a blush appearing on their faces. Khan was adorned in a regal pitch-black hakama, cradling the katana muramesa close to his chest as he sat down on a zabuton. His demeanor exuded an air of quiet strength and nobility. There was one distinguishing feature about his new persona that stood out the most. Khan now wore a black headband that acted like a patch to cover his left eye. This subtle yet striking detail added an enigmatic edge to his noble and gentle appearance. To the onlookers, Khan's new persona, created solely for his deal with Miyamoto Musashi, presented an intriguing figure, a man with only one eye. This distinctive characteristic, combined with his composed and regal bearing, made him a captivating and mysterious presence in the room. "I greet all the members of the hero's party," spoke Khan with a changed voice that was as pleasant on the ears as it was polite. "In my clan, they call me the One-Eyed Dragon. But all of you, including Ryu Kandano, may call me," spoke Khan as he gracefully introduced his new persona with a benign smile. "Masamune Byakuya." Khan introduced himself as Masamune Byakuya to the hero of space's party, and as soon as he did, the entire congregation, whether it was the party members, the soldiers, or the servants within the pagoda, turned dead silent. Because the last name Masamune had a very distinct history in the Erdv Empire. According to everyone's knowledge, when the first emperor, Miyamoto Musashi, created the Erdv Empire after throwing out the previous regime, he had 5 loyal daimos who fought alongside him during the revolt against the previous emperor's forces. The main reason for the revolt was that the old regime sacrificed plenty of citizens annually to monsters and supposed guardians who were nothing more than variants of god-beasts. Also that their hunger could be appeased with the lives of thousands of innocent citizens, and the nobles or royals wouldn't have to fight those monsters and lose the lives of their saint warriors. They treated the commoners of the empire as nothing more than accessories to their rule and meat shields to discard when necessary, thus forcing the 6th hero of space to raise arms against the ruling authorities and free the innocent populace from this unforgivable tyranny as soon as he achieved the 3rd enlightenment in the space law. And to this day, even after more than 500 years, 4 of those clans survived and still served his descendants, such as the Emperor Sakamoto Hideyoshi. But the last clan that fell was none other than the Masamune clan. Masamune Honjo, their first founder, was not just one of the bannermen of Miyamoto Musashi but also a renowned blacksmith of his era, even forging the emperor's ancient rank twin katanas that helped him usurp the previous rule and establish the Erdv Empire. The founder of the blacksmithing clan was given the title of the noble, and under his leadership, the Masamune clan served as the main force that forged the Erdv Empire's weapons and machinery and even pioneered the technological advancements to a great degree. However, close to 200 years ago, the clan leader of that era stood on the side of one of the rivals who vied for the throne, directly opposing the claim of the previous emperor, the father of Sakamoto Hideyoshi. When the rival prince of that time couldn't get support from the majority of daimos and their respective clans, he tried to assassinate his elder brother. The only one who stood by his side and assisted in that assassination attempt was the leader of the Masamune clan. After the attempt failed and the traitors were executed, the Masamune clan lost their title as a noble clan because of their leader's doings. The previous emperor, however, was merciful enough to not execute all the members of the Masamune clan, going against their tradition, but the remaining clan members were exiled and stripped of their title, their ranks, and the lands they owned. "Then are you by chance?" asked the old servant who previously introduced him to everyone. "Yes, I'm her grandson. The imperial blood runs through my veins as well," said Khan/Byakuya with a composed demeanor. The reason why the previous emperor spared the clan members of the Masamune clan was because his younger sister was wed to the traitor clan leader, and he could not bring himself to end her and her children's lives with his own hand. "Now, although I may be of the imperial blood, I have to serve my penance as the descendant of the traitor. Currently, the Masamune clan resides on the northern end of the empire, and among their saints, I have been in secluded training for over decades. His Majesty, the Emperor, who is also my uncle by blood, offered me a chance to reinstate the Masamune clan by devoting myself to the service of the imperial clan by joining this party. Stated Byakuya in one go. Shock. What? The Masamune clan is being reinstated? Does that mean he's also a candidate to become a Hatamoto, guardian of the banner, and is a high-ranking samurai in the direct service of the emperor? Asked Ishin with a baffled countenance. However, Kon quickly explained, do not make assumptions. I'm still a Ronin samurai without a lord, without any allegiance. Joining this party is just a condition of my cause. So by no means, I'm a noble. Even the imperial court and other daimyos do not know about my origin or this arrangement between me and the emperor. So it would be best if you kept it to yourself, as leaking this information to your clans is akin to treason. Clarified Kon. Gulp. Everyone present except for Ryukin was taken aback by this revelation, gulping in shock. This was the perfect setup he created with the help of Miyamoto Musashi and Emperor Hideyoshi. If his referral came directly from the emperor himself, who would dare to question the authenticity of his claims? Half an hour later, the formal greetings and inquiries were done in a tense atmosphere. Right then, the members of the Hero of Space's party suggested something in unison, that Raiden and Byakuya should show them their strength and prove that they are worthy to replace their former two teammates. Clink. Omega suddenly placed his hands on Raijin and Kaijin. You dare test Byakuya-sama? With what right? He asked with furious eyes, ready to pounce on the party members any moment. Kensei and Ishin quickly intervened. Easy there, newcomer. What's wrong with testing the strength of a fellow party member's strength when we would have to fight together in the future? This incident can be used to fortify our party's battle formations. There is nothing to lose here, said Kensei, the Naginata warrior. Then it was Kon who interjected. As reasonable as it may sound, I would have to decline this proposition. He spoke with a sly smile. This bastard. What's with his snake-like face and devious smile? I already find him insufferable. Thought Shingen to himself. Then Momoko, the spider demon, also spoke. Ara. It has been a long time since I've seen such an unmannerly man. However, I can't seem to dislike it. Maybe I will get to put that face in my collection one day, she said in a seductive tone. Impudent, said Tomo, the Yuki-onna, in a cold tone while calmly holding her teacup, without even making eye contact with Byakuya. You, who do you think you're sitting in front of? You're but a fallen noble clan's heir. Serving the Hiro-sama is the greatest honor many saints could only dream of. We don't know what kind of backhanded deal you pull off with His Majesty, the Emperor, but you should at least be courteous enough to abide by the orders, said the nine-tailed kitsune. And whose orders are those? I didn't hear Ryukendano saying anything regarding that. Don't just throw out your whim in the air and use his name to make it seem like I'm the one being disrespectful, said Kon calmly with a duplicitous smile. This ruffian, said Kagura. Whoosh. But before the conversation took a heated turn, Ryukin raised his right hand and gestured for everyone to turn quiet. Next, he locked his eyes with Kon, who was slowly sipping the fragrant tea. I apologize on their behalf. The way you put it, their words do appear as presumptuous. However, their point does stand. So now I'm asking you as the leader of this party and as the hero of space, would you show us the extent of your capabilities as a warrior? Asked Ryukin in a composed and courteous voice. Shake. Kon shook his head in denial and spoke softly. That is still not a viable option for me. And I mean no disrespect to you, Ryukendano. Boom. This time, it was Shingen who revealed his dark red saint aura and spoke in an angered tone. Oye, why are you addressing Ryukin-sama with Dano and not Sama? Are you under the illusion that you have the same standing as him just because you carry the imperial blood? You're still nothing but a descendant of that traitor. The Oni warrior's furious tone heated the atmosphere of this gathering. "Yes, who are you to speak so casually with him?" asked Ishin, the youngest among them who looked like a teenager. But again, Ryukin raised his hand and signaled them to keep their mouths shut instead of escalating things. "And why is that so, if I may ask?" he questioned Kon/Byakuya. To his tense-toned question, Kon only replied with a question of his own. "Why should I have to prove my strength?" he said. Kon's visage turned prideful as he continued with a sardonic smile. "To those who are weaker than me." Masamune Byakuya's sudden provocative response, implying that he was stronger than everyone else present here, without even a shroud of respect laced in his tone, triggered the united wrath of the entire Hero of Space's party. Boom! One after another, heavily suffocating saint pressures erupted, following along with the killing intent full of rage and bloodlust. "You insolent bastard! How dare you speak such hubris and disrespect Ryukin-sama?" shouted Shingen, standing up from his seat and grabbing his kanobo, the mace-like club with spikes, his body ready to jump and attack Kon. The same reaction came from Kensei, Kagura, and Tomo, this blatant disregard for Ryukin's authority and honor being the fuel of their outburst. However, Kon/Byakuya remained unfazed, gently sipping his tea as their auras did not even touch his clothes or move even a strand of his hair. "I'm not disrespecting him, I'm just disrespecting all of you." He spoke with a benign smile. "Right then, all of you, retract your auras," bellowed the Hero of Space in a hurry. The sudden order bewildered all of them, but they quickly suppressed their killing intent. Huff! And as they looked around, they all saw the servants and the soldiers almost plastered on the floor and ground. Had it not been for Ryukin's own saint pressure of a sixth-stage saint, enveloping and protecting them at the quickest second, all these innocent people would have already died. Protecting the weak was Ryukin's first priority instead of responding with anger in accordance with Byakuya's insult. But the fact remained ever since these two new arrivals came, many thought-provoking moments led to such confrontations. "Do you dare to take responsibility for such words?" asked Ryukin. This time, even the cool-headed Hero of Space was exasperated and also offended by those claims despite showing great restraint. "Is it a sin to speak the absolute truth, Ryukendano?" asked Byakuya with a devious smile. "Clench. So not even an hour since we made acquaintance and you have already disrespected the entirety of the Hero's party twice. I hope you have what it takes to back up those grand claims. Alas, there shall be consequence," spoke Ryukin, intently locking his gaze with Byakuya. "Sigh. Phew. Looks like a face-off is inevitable since matters have progressed to this extent. All for merely standing the facts," replied Byakuya. But before he could continue, "If we are going to clash blades, allow me this opportunity, my lord," said Raiden/Omega in a composed demeanor. Omega willingly took on the offer without any hesitation. "You, who are you to interfere? A mere vassal is acting like a champion?" asked Ishin the young Onmyoji. "I may not be a samurai by title, but I have pledged my loyalty to Byakuya-sama. If you want to test my lord, then you shall prove that you're worthy to do so first," replied Omega in a cold tone, his voice carrying absolute might. "How impetuous! You dare speak of worth to the members of nobility?" raged Momoko, the spider demon yokai with an umbrella. One after another, others also voiced the same opinion. But soon, Omega smirked and responded, "You may be noble by birth, but it remains a fact that none of you are the heirs or direct descendant of the 5 daimyo clans. All of you hail from their vassal clans and were sent to join the Hero's party after failing to become the official successor. All because one of your birth parents was born into the 5 clans. Even that monk called Dasho seems to be from the god Ram's temple and not some noble clan. So by that logic, excluding Ryukin-sama, no one in this so-called party has any superiority over the other in terms of nobility or titles." His stern and grim voice echoed in the hall. Suddenly, the servants and soldiers almost froze on their spots again, expecting another outburst from the Hero's allies. Because one after another, Both Byakuya and Raiden were landing heavy blows on their honor and prestige. Hence, my proposition is valid. After all, what kind of samurai would let his lord fight against a bunch of weaklings for no reason? He asked in a contemptuous tone. Boom! His remark erupted another series of wrathful auras, and the atmosphere turned heated even more. Because technically, everything Raiden said was true. If one were to consider Byakuya's origin as per his claims, he was of pure noble blood and would be second only to the hero of space in terms of standing in this group. So in the end, it was them who were crossing the line and disrespecting the noble blood. So, who dares to face me? Asked Omega in an overbearing and domineering voice. You sure want to face them? Asked Khan. Yes, I have to gain some experience after practicing so much. Besides, I want to show you the new skills and techniques I learned from Miyamoto-sensei. Responded Omega. It was then Khan realized that the Sword Saint wasn't just his, but also Omega's legitimate master. The only difference was that he taught both of them different fighting techniques. Good then. It will be a good chance to assess the strength of this party in advance. So do not disappoint me. Ordered Khan while maintaining a sly smile on his face. I'll allow it. Suddenly, Ryukin announced his wish. What? The collective exclaim from the party members echoed in the halls of the pagoda as the hero of space suddenly allowed for the challenge presented by Raiden. A small curved smile appeared on Ryukin's face as he revealed his reasons. A person is either an ignorant fool when they boast about their strength so vociferously, or they're terrifyingly strong to have earned the right to do so, stated Sasuke Ryukin. He then gazed around his teammates and chuckled lightly. Are you not interested to know whether their claims are true or just a pretentious hoax? Asked the hero with an expectant gaze. The team members also calmed down, understanding the situation. If they accepted Raiden's proposition, not only would they be able to gauge the new members and their respective strengths, but also pay them back for these incessant insults. Because in the end, the path to hierarchy was often decided by one's strength in the world. Byakuya-dano, how about we place a bet? Asked Ryukin in an authoritative tone. If your samurai loses against any of them in a duel, then you will have to face me. And once I've defeated you, you will talk to everyone among my friends as Lord and Lady, and you will also follow my orders obediently. This haughty and prideful attitude shan't be welcomed under my leadership, he said in a firm voice. So do you dare to accept the bet? He asked in a taunting tone. Byakuya, in return, let out a mischievous smirk and replied, I wouldn't have it otherwise. However, what if your friends cannot defeat my samurai? What then? Then you and your samurai will have full autonomy in this party, and you will always have the free will to defy my command. That I promise in my name as the 10th hero of space, declared Ryukin confidently. This is preposterous and unacceptable, said Kagura, her tails wiggling behind her back due to anxiety. This is unheard of, Ryukin-sama, said Dasho, the monk. I'm against such an arrangement as well, Hiro-sama, said Isshin, the Onmyoji, because that would greatly affect the chain of command in the future. This is a rightful price to barter. Besides, are you not confident in your own skills? Asked Ryukin in a stern voice, indicating his resolve. This is a good opportunity for them to learn and grow. They have never fought or trained at their full strength against me because of my role and status. But in front of these two who have insulted their pride, they will gain good experience. I cannot allow what happened during the Conclave of Heroes ever again. Thought the hero of space to himself. Instead of getting offended, he was putting an act and using this encounter to help his allies and show them their shortcomings. 10 minutes later, they entered a training facility that sent them all into a separate realm, arranged specifically for duels between saints. Who do you want to face first, you dog bastard? Asked Shingen with a contemptuous and vengeful smirk, cajoling Raiden to choose him first. It would be unfair to all of you if I fought you in the conventional 1-against-1 duel, declared Omega haughtily. So come at me all at once. His voice sent a chill in everyone's body. Heed my words. Clink, clang. Omega brandished both Raijin and Kaijin. I am Raiden, blade of Lord Byakuya. He declared in a tyrannical voice. Omega's indomitable and impregnable will resonated in the surroundings as he pointed his blade at the members of the hero's party. And I have never known defeat.